You must be almost 30. Have you ever kissed a girl?
Well, it's my birthday, everyone.
I am often afraid that the day you turn 30, you will kill yourself or go on a killing spree or something like that.
And then kill himself, yes.
If I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids. I'm very happy to be child-free. Don't be Vinny.
You look like some kind of super nerd. It looks like you were built in a laboratory out of parts from a lesser nerd.
Well, it's my birthday, everyone.
That's right.
We're having a party.
Vince's going to be 38.
I'm going to be 42. It really doesn't matter. This is what I decided. Once you're 30, you're just old.
I've been waiting. How can I explain this? A lot of people listen to this show and they think they know us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in some ways they do, but they don't know you.
Explain.
Intimately.
Well, no one should.
Not that intimately, but let me just, here's what I'm about to say. From hanging out with you at bowling, no one hangs out with us at bowling, sadly.
Really, anymore, no one.
Yeah, actually, bowling nights have gone off the cliff for reasons I don't want to mention, just in case somebody happens to be listening, but he drove off everyone, particularly all the girls. Now no girls show up at bowling. You notice that?
Oh, yes.
We are now down to 4 males. I'm not going to mention why, and it actually is not because of Vince, but... So anyway, I've noticed at bowling, Vince, that you are about to undergo a major midlife crisis. And I've been waiting for October 8th because I know that's the day that it's just going to come crashing down on you like a ton of bricks. And actually, no, it's going to happen October 9th, because October 8th you'll be drinking all day.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the next day when you've got a hangover, you realize you're now 30 years and 1 day old, and I'm afraid that you may kill yourself.
Stranger things have happened.
Are you killing yourself?
Yes.
I assume so.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you've actually been hinting at this for... It's far more than the last few months. You've been hinting at this for years, predicting my midlife crisis, and I don't believe one time I've said, nah.
I see it coming, dude.
I see it coming.
Yeah, so your party is coming up.
Let's explain the party. It's Saturday night, October 8th. I think there's like 3 people who might be listening who are in the Seattle area, so I'll go ahead and invite them.
Yeah, you're invited.
Everyone listening, everyone within the sound of my voice over this wacky and magic interweb, you're invited to my party.
We need to plug this every day, too, and even on the free podcast.
Absolutely on the free podcast.
Free wacky people in the area.
The quick and dirty of it is we're meeting at Club Hollywood Casino in Shoreline, Washington, right off Highway 99. We're meeting there for dinner and drinks.
Wait a second, I didn't even know this part. I didn't know where you were meeting for dinner. A club in Shoreline?
Club Hollywood Casino.
That's an oxymoron.
Well, you're right.
Club and casino and Shoreline, all 3. It's a troxymoron.
Clearly you've never been to Shoreline, which has dozens and dozens of casinos.
Oh, God.
It has no clubs, but...
So, yeah. I went to Shoreline Community College for a year and 8 months or something.
Well, clearly you haven't driven down there lately. There's casinos everywhere, dude.
Okay, go on.
Listen, so we're meeting there.
This ain't Vegas. I just want to mention.
Oh, it's absolutely no. That's for damn sure. Okay. This is not Vegas. It's not Reno. It's not Laughlin. It's Shoreline.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're meeting there. There will be steak and burgers and Asian food and lots of drinking, and perhaps some drunken gambling, which is always the best.
Sure.
And then whenever we're done there, we're going down to Belltown Billiards in Seattle, where there will be more drinking, basically until they kick us out.
Which will be 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
Actually, for you, it could be 11 p.m.
It could be. I could be sent to jail.
That's fine with me, though.
Yeah, and we should call Shawn at some point, and you should ask him about the guests he's invited.
By what guests is he invited?
He came home last night and announced to me that he had met and invited 14 girls to this party.
This I will have to witness myself, to be honest with you. So,
I've invited people I work with, I've invited people I haven't talked to in years. I just want everyone to come and hang out with me and hopefully buy me a drink.
Are you planning on killing yourself? I want to ask right now on the air.
No.
This isn't like your last hurrah, and you're just planning on hanging yourself the next day?
No, I'm not going to kill myself. I can't do that until after the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Which I shouldn't joke about, because that's what Hunter Thompson did. So
that's true, he did.
No, I'm not going to kill myself, everyone.
If you kill yourself after the Super Bowl, I am not erecting a cannon to shoot your ashes out of.
Fair enough.
So...
So
How's it going, everybody? Brian Alvarez here with the Bryan and Shawn Show. That's right, a new program, at least for today, here on Figure 4 Online. I am joined here by young Shawn.
How's it going, Brian?
And in studio today, we have got young Vincent. Young Vincent is our guest on the Bryan and Shawn Show today. Vince, how you doing?
Hello. Young Vincent for another 5 days, I believe.
Yeah, in 5 days he will be old Vincent.
Oh, God, you're right.
Well, I thought that we should start off here by explaining why there is a Bryan and Shawn Show. As some of you might recall, Shawn took over the Bryan and Vinny Show one day, and I almost fired Vince outright. And the only reason I didn't was because Vince is willing to drive out here for all the shows, and Shawn, unfortunately, is not. So, we were at the bowling alley last night. We were talking about Vince's big birthday party, which is coming up this Friday. And Shawn...
Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Saturday. I'm still not recovered from Monday. But Shawn suggested that we do what he called a Vinny intervention show in regards to this weekend. And I was all down for that, and surprisingly, Vince was as well. And Shawn, would you like to talk a little bit about the idea of the Vinny intervention show, which we are doing right now?
I was thinking about this. I was thinking maybe intervention might not be the correct word. Maybe preparation might be.
Okay.
That's certainly friendlier. I like it better, at least.
Get him the idea of what we're going to do when we get down there, what kind of appearance he needs to have. We need to discuss every possible detail and possibility that might happen down at the club in order to, get him laid.
That's right. Make sure you speak into that mic there, buddy.
All right.
So, yeah, we're going to have the Vinny intervention show. We actually intervened a little bit on Wednesday night or Tuesday night at the bowling alley by having the young ladies at the front desk post a special message for Vince on the giant bowling screen, which said, what was it, Vince?
Vince equals hot stuff.
Vince equals hot stuff. And we actually took a photo of it with the video phone, but unfortunately it just did not come out. So
I should point out, as soon as I saw that message, I began to bowl better. And when that message went away, I began to suck again. So I went back to the front desk and asked them to put another message up there, this one reading, Vince is the best.
Yes, and how did that help you out?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay,
Probably nothing.
You lost.
Yeah. So, Shawn, you actually had a little talk with me at the alley about the Ric Flair book. And we were not going to talk about wrestling at all on this show. That was the goal. But we're going to talk about the Ric Flair book because you said, and I quote, that the Ric Flair book changed your life.
I think this past week has been quite possibly the highlight of my 29 and almost 30 years on this planet.
Wow.
I guarantee it.
Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, been out just drinking, meeting ladies. I mentioned on, I think, Thursday night, I talked to 14 lovely ladies and going to get them all out to the party on Friday. Quite possibly 100% of them will be discussed by young Vince, but we're going to do our best to get them drunk and possibly at least, maybe, one of them
We'll hold Vince's hand.
naked, yes.
Wow. That was... Okay, so now, what did the Ric Flair book have to do with this? Did you are you telling me you finished reading the Ric Flair book on Wednesday and then had a streak of 5 straight days of wanton behavior?
May I interrupt here?
Sure.
Shawn has...
As long as you have something of value to say, I thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, I do. Shawn has, for the first 29 and a half years of his life, was not the world's most successful lover. Now...
Wait a second.
In the past 6 months, he has packed 30 years of mojo into that time because, as his roommate, I can testify to the fact that there has been a revolving door in his bedroom as I've seen talent go in and out, and...
Talent? That's the pig in you coming out again. But go on.
I could have said something much worse, believe me.
Oh, I know.
But,
think about that, everybody.
Just stood by and watched my head going back and forth like a tennis match, and, yeah, and no outward change in young Shawn.
I think
So
Monday morning would be a prime example that
Monday is the ultimate example.
young Vince got up and went out to go run for whatever reason, and he came home to have some breakfast and get ready to go to work. And during that time, I had not only one, but I had 2 lovely ladies leave during that time.
No, one was leaving right when I went to go run, and when I got back, there was another one there.
Yeah.
And I am not Florence Griffith the Joyner or any other real athlete. I ran for about 20 minutes.
What?
I'm not a real athlete, I said.
Oh, I thought you threw a name out there.
Florence Griffith Joyner.
Oh, who
She's
the hell?
a runner.
I'm sorry, go on.
Fancy nails,
God,
too.
why do I bother with pop culture with you?
I'm sorry I'm not up on my runners. Go on.
I'm done. There was one girl there when I left, and when I got back, there was another girl there.
And so what does this have to do with the runner?
Oh, Jesus. I was gone for 20 minutes.
Okay, don't yell into the mic, Vince.
You're an idiot.
Okay, so, yeah. So the other reason, this is why I thought we should have the intervention, because, Vince, as you mentioned, Shawn is almost 30, and so are you. And as I've mentioned on the Bryan and Vinny show several times, I am often afraid that the day you turn 30, you will either A, kill yourself, B, go into a deep, deep depression in which you will never return, or, I don't know, C, go on a killing spree or something like that.
And then kill himself, yes.
Some sort of drastic thing, I'm afraid, is going to happen. So I figure at your birthday party, if, you get to meet and hang out, maybe tell campfire stories with some young lass, then perhaps you won't have that irrational behavior the next day, that
violent act.
Sure, the violent outburst that I expect you to have. So, but yeah, what did you learn, Shawn, in the Ric Flair book that turned your life around?
Well, quite possibly you're only young once. There's only your time now to go out and
You're
have
so not
time.
helping.
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
What'd you say?
I said you're so not helping, but go ahead.
The time you have now is the only time you're going to get, and tomorrow it's just going to be one day closer to your death. So you might as well, pack in that time now before you're gone. And so I have been doing my best and doing some serious packing.
Well, my theory was that you were going to die at any time, so you might as well have fun now while you're still alive.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I have to live with. Shawn is turning red. He's entertained himself to such a great degree.
You are, and I'm not even sure why, which is why it's so funny, but go ahead.
I didn't prepare that joke. That just actually came out. So
You're a genius.
I'm happy with it.
Okay, so go on.
No, it's just that you got to live now.
Well, let me say this. I haven't read all of Ric Flair's book yet, which is a horrible thing to say as somebody who writes about wrestling for a living and named his own newsletter after Ric Flair's finishing hold. But
indeed,
last year I read a different book. I read the biography of Jim Morrison, which was, I'm sure, very similar to the Ric Flair story, except Jim Morrison died. And I had a similar sort of revelation that, yes, I could die at any time. So I need to get out and live every single day. And this ended up resulting in Ocean Shores, which Vince knows all about, and there are photographs of it in the gallery and such like that, and a long streak of a little bit of insanity. And at the end I thought, my God, I actually could die young at this rate. And so I've mellowed. It was a very brief phase, and I would like you to know that you should have a lot of fun in your phase. Just don't kill yourself. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday, but I don't want to die that day.
Well, I think it's important to point out that I'm not doing the complete Ric Flair phase, and I'm not doing the drugs to keep me awake. I'm not doing the Jim Morrison drugs to keep me awake.
Sure.
I'm just doing everything at a pure will. That's why I only last like 5 days. I know the drugs would have helped me go longer, but I had to take a day of rest.
Yes, you need days of rest in there.
And I was back on my feet on Monday, so... or on my back, or whichever way you want to put it.
So I guess the main piece of advice that you would give young Vincent for this weekend out of Ric Flair's book is, Vince, you're only young once, and this is the last week of it for you. So therefore, this weekend, you better just go nuts.
The funny thing is, I've felt that way for the past, 5 years, that I was only young once, and I missed it.
I see.
So I've basically been dead for 5 years.
Well, should my actions in the previous week have shown you that?
Yeah, Shawn's almost 32. You guys are both.
Sean's older than me.
I'm 2 days older than Vince.
Sean's way older than me.
Yeah, I'm way older than both of you.
I've come to the conclusion actually that right now you are way older than us. But once you hit 30, everyone's just the same age. You're just old.
Why is it 30 though?
Because.
See,
you have to understand the power of the big round number.
I think that there must have been. I'm not a doctor. I've never even played one, but I think that there must have been something in your past, Vince, where maybe somebody you knew died at 30, or someone you knew turned 30 and suddenly became a dork or boring or something of that nature, where now you dread 30 because you think that you're going to wake up on Monday morning and suddenly have gray hair and be a dork and whatever else.
So really nothing would change?
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Is that a question?
No, here's a question, Vince. There are going to be people listening to this that are a hell of a lot older than 30. And they're going to be listening to you bitch about turning 30 and being an old man, and they're going to go, my God, if I were 30 again, I would show Vince how to be a young man.
I think there's a better point to be made, actually. That the only thing you're doing right now when you're turning 30 is you're complaining. And there's many other things that you could be doing right now other than complaining.
That makes sense.
To hopefully, make yourself feel better about yourself, to get you out of that slump, stop complaining, and possibly get some.
I got to say...
We don't have time for that story right now.
Oh, we have plenty of time. But I've got to say this. Vince, when my grandmother was born, she was born in the middle of the Great Depression.
Yes.
And everybody, literally 1929, the year that the world went to hell, my grandmother was born, and when she was born, people died at like 65 or 70, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you hit 90 or something like that, it was like, my God, you're an elder, you're a whatever. And nowadays, you and me and Shawn, unless we all die this weekend in some drug party gone awry or something crazy or an accident or something like that, we're going to live to be like 125 or 150 years old.
And that depresses the hell out of me.
What are you talking about?
Listen, I'm going to be totally honest here. I have no racial biases, no gender biases. I joke about it a lot. I have no religious biases. I hate old people.
You're missing my point. When you're 90 years old, you're not going to be like a 90-year-old man is today. Because technology and the medical industry, everything is going to be so much more advanced that you'll be 125 years old before you start getting real frail, unless you completely just stop taking care of yourself. So I don't understand what 30 years old, I don't understand how that's old. That's shockingly young.
No, it's not. When my dad was this age, and this is not a statement of envy, just only for comparison, when my dad was this age, he was married and had 3 kids. No, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have kids, so I'm not saying that's how I wish my life was. Just stating that, I don't know, he was old. Okay.
That was a deep statement.
That
Shawn,
fell apart.
help us out here.
Shouldn't you feel better about yourself at 30, not being married and having kids?
Oh, I do. Oh, I'm very happy about this. I'm very happy to be child and disease-free. That's good times. I don't know.
It could all end this weekend.
Well, abstinence is the best, safe sex.
Shawn loves to... Well, actually, lately, yes, I can't deny that. Shawn loves to take shots at me. Loves to call me fat. I'll go for a run, and I'll say, I'm going for a run, and he'll say, why?
We actually got that one earlier this evening.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you weren't listening, apparently, but go ahead.
I try to avoid listening to Shawn if I can.
So, this weekend...
It's very hard to have a discussion with Vince when it comes to, like, my personal life, because he gets offended because I'm having much more fun than he is.
I get annoyed. It's like you come over...
All right.
You come over and rub my face in it. The fact that you're getting laid and I am not.
All right.
Well, maybe it's...
I associate, like, my life and having, like, the fun that I'm having with, like, talking to a senior citizen about the Internet. It's like you're interrupting them when they're watching television about a subject they don't care about and they're never going to use.
What?
I kind of sort of got where he was going with that, and I think it may have been funny.
Okay, now I get that doesn't get any use part, but I guess I don't know what I was going to say. I just lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
And so talking to Vince about stuff like that is just kind of.
I remember what I was going to say, but go on.
Of course, there's bragging involved. I'm a guy. There's got to be that down there. You got to brag about it too. But there's also the time. Whose idea was it to do a joint birthday party?
That was yours.
That was mine. Whose idea was? Who pushed you to get out your Evite, to get all your friends out there?
You did.
Yeah, that was me. I'm trying my best to get you out more often, and hopefully, when you go out, drink, meet some girls, and maybe something will happen.
I do better when I drink.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that in a minute too. But I think that part of the reason that we're all going to be arguing for this entire deal is because me and Shawn are on the same wavelength and you're off in a totally different dimension. That being that Shawn and I don't see 30 as being old and you do. And so every single argument we have on this show is going to revolve around us saying that you're not old and you need to do all this stuff, and you saying that I'm too old and I'm going to kill myself because I didn't do this stuff when I was younger.
And the other argument is that we're just being malicious. which is, 80% true. But like the 20%, we are definitely trying to help you.
And you also have to look at it this way, Vince. Sometimes people need a little bit of incentive to act out. You know what I mean? And perhaps Shawn, yes, I'm sure that Shawn is rubbing it in certain ways, and he's trying to, get a reaction out of you and everything like that. But at the same time, maybe there's something to it where if he annoys you enough, if he drives you far enough up the wall, you ain't going to hit anybody, but if he drives you far enough up the wall, you might actually get out and do something just to maybe try and shut him up.
That doesn't mean raping someone. That means, going out and meeting someone.
I don't know, lately when Shawn goes out, I stay home because I don't want to hang out with Shawn.
Well, you don't have to hang around with him when you go out to a club with him. You don't have to dance with him.
I go out by myself.
That'd be funny.
Let's talk a little bit about your drinking, Vince.
Okay, now I'm in a good mood. That's a subject dear to my heart.
Actually, before this show started, I offered you wine, and you turned it down.
I did.
Are you just saving? Are you trying to lower your tolerance so this weekend when you drink, you'll just be hammered?
No, Brian, I'm trying to lose weight.
Oh, okay. 1 cup of wine's going to balloon you up to 600 pounds?
No, it wouldn't.
It's good for your heart, too.
I'm just trying to relax you, buddy.
It is good for your heart.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, you didn't drink for many years.
Correct.
And then, I guess, actually, you know what? It was me and Sonny that ruined your life.
No. Oh, no, that's a mistake.
Okay, fine. It was okay.
You saved me.
That's even better then. It was me and Sonny that saved your life. We were at Sonny's Halloween party, and there was liquor there. And the funny thing is I didn't drink a thing that evening, but I got you two. We basically talked you into having, was it a Mike's Hard Lemonade?
I had half a bottle of Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You didn't even finish half the bottle before you were giggling. You had about 2 sips of that Mike's Hard alcohol, and you were giggling like a little girl.
Yes.
And Sonny and I were dying, and that was the beginning of a new Vinny.
It was. Oh, okay. Okay, we'll get into this. When I was very young, my parents, they drank a lot. Specifically my father. And my grandfather had troubles with liquor. And I saw my parents and their brothers and sisters inebriated often. And it annoyed me because as a child, it meant they were not there to take care of me. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the time I woke up with a nightmare and they were downstairs having a party and I could hear them laughing, and I must have been 9 or 10 when this happened, and woke up screaming for help, and they couldn't hear me because they were downstairs laughing. So, so I basically swore off alcohol from that day forward, to the point where going through high school and then on to college, if alcohol was being served, I would leave. This was foolish. This was a goddamn stupid thing to do. Children, if you're listening...
Whoa, relax.
You must go out then, otherwise you will be the social hermit that I am now.
Well, hold on a second. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I need to add something here.
Because I did not drink until I was 29.
I didn't start till I was 28.
But did you...
But I went to parties and everything like that. When alcohol came out, I didn't leave.
That's what I'm saying.
I just had a Coke.
You don't have to drink, although I encourage it. But you don't leave. Don't be Vinny. That's my point.
Okay, I will agree with that. But I also want to say, and this is not just a public service message, but this is true. You can go to a party and you can go your entire life without drinking, and you can have a fun time. Because I did it for 29 years, and I didn't start drinking because all of a sudden one day I was at a party and I decided I need to be cool. I'm going to drink a little bit. I did this with only one other individual. I was alone in an island, basically.
And that one individual was a dude.
Yeah. So, that, of course, led to nothing. But, yeah, that was it was just, we went on this trip. That's a story for another day. We'd have to actually bring Yeti on. But to make a long story short, I bought a bottle of rum because we were planning on sleeping on the beach like pirates. And I thought, well, if you're going to sleep on the beach like a pirate, you might as well have some rum.
Only the really bad pirates do that. The good ones stay on the boat.
Yeah, and basically we went and we found this liquor store in the middle of Aberdeen, Washington, the home of the American Dragon. And if you want to know why American Dragon is the way he is, go to Aberdeen, and you'll understand. There was one liquor store in the whole damn town, which we had to find. I bought a huge... I don't know what it is, 567 milliliters or whatever. It's a big jug right there over by it's on the mantle right now.
He hasn't touched it in the following year and a half.
No, and I started drinking at 1 o'clock p.m., because I didn't know what was going to happen. I never drank before, and I thought it would hit me immediately, and it did not. And so I kept drinking, and I drank half of this jug in one day. And to be honest, I should probably have been dead, but I didn't die, and that was the beginning of my end.
Wow.
I like that long moment of silence.
The longest moment of silence we've ever had.
Comprehends that story and the profundity of it, but yes.
I think, Brian, I think maybe you need to understand that a lot of people, like when they first start drinking, they don't know when to stop. They don't know their limit. They've never had that experience. Like my first time, I ended up passed out, alcohol poisoning. It was disgusting how drunk I got. Yeah,
so all of you that have never drank before and are contemplating it, our advice is...
go slow.
Yes, take your time.
I did do that.
Leave at least an hour to allow it to hit you before you decide nothing's happening and you need to drink more, or you will end up in very, very bad shape.
I know I've never been as bad as Shawn. Probably never. In fact, I'm sure I've never been as bad as Brian was that day. I've never vomited from drinking too much. I have had one killer hangover to the point where I had to lay down in my cubicle at work. Fortunately, it was a holiday and no one else was in the building.
Well, Saturday's a new day. Maybe we can get you to drink until you throw up.
What a horrible goal.
No, we have other goals in mind.
So how has it changed your life, Vince? You said it's changed it for the better.
I'm more relaxed about it. I've discovered that I really actually like being drunk, as it turns out.
Yeah,
the actual state of inebriation is a happy place to be.
All right.
That means if you're happy, and that means you're gonna, be happy.
It makes me more confident. It makes me more outgoing, and I've, believe it or not, met more girls in the past year than I did in the prior 10.
All right.
I've never, I can't say never. Almost never, 2 or 3 times in my life prior to the past year and a half, I've approached a woman. They always came to me. And now I can go, at least I can go chase them.
That moment of silence was a moment of disbelief on the part of me and Shawn. I just wanted you to know that.
It's true.
So go on.
Yeah. Now at least I can chase after them and they can run away screaming, help, help, help.
I got to say something about your drinking, Vince.
Yes.
Okay, I have discovered something about people that drink. This is my theory. Perhaps people will prove this wrong, but this is what I really believe. Some people say, I don't want to drink because when people drink, they become angry and they become mean. But I think that it's just like fame. People say, when you become famous, you're pretty much how you always were. Fame just sort of reveals you. You know what I mean? Drinking reveals you. If you are a naturally angry person and you have a lot of hate inside of you, and throughout the course of your day you suppress it and you say hi to people and you smile at them and you shake their hand, and in your brain you're thinking, fuck off, I hate you. When you drink, you are going to be an angry, angry drunk because you will have no inhibitions whatsoever. Mm-hmm. If you are a person who's naturally happy and there's a confrontation and you have to be upset with somebody that perhaps you're their boss and you have to fire them and you have to act like you're angry or whatever, but in your mind you're thinking, I really don't want to do this, and you're just a naturally good, nice person, then when you drink, that will come out as well. And I'm not going to say that you are an angry, angry drunk, but when you drink, you do sometimes get surly. The only times that you have ever struck me have been when you were drinking.
I think that shows that in reality I want to hit you.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But you never have. We were at a comedy club once, and you were in front of me in line, and I was sitting on the stairs, and I said, in this exact tone of voice, Vince, find out what's taking so long. And perhaps the fact that I didn't add the word please made you so irrationally upset that you turned around and struck me.
I shoved you with both hands in the chest.
Yes, and I fell down on my ass on the steps, and I thought, if I had a beer bottle right now, I'd kill this fucker. But luckily I'm a happy drunk, so I didn't do it. But, yeah, so, you got to relax, dude.
Speaking of drinking and Vince, remember that time when we were getting drinks, and we were getting drinks for a couple girls and for Vince, and you and I were standing at the counter and turning around to hand drinks to people? And so I got the drinks, and I turned around, and I handed the first drink to the first girl. I turned around and I picked up Vince's drink. It was a tall Jack and Coke.
Oh, yes, tall.
A tall one. I turned around and gave it to him. turned back down to pick up another drink to give to the other girl, gave it to her, and as I was giving it to her, Vince was handing his drink back empty.
This was seriously like a David Blaine magic trick. I mean, the speed, seriously, it was liquor to Vince, to counter, back to Vince, the thing was empty. A tall rum and coke, you would, I can't even say sucked it down. You would, like, absorbed it out of the glass. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It was awesome.
Now, I know that Shawn has something that he wanted to discuss tonight, Vince, and that is, when we came back from Las Vegas, as most of you know, we drove down and drove back, which was one of the best things we've ever done in our lives. On the way back, we had a long conversation with Vince about this very topic, and Shawn had a list of suggestions for Vince in, what would you call it, the game department?
I think so. I had some personal suggestions that I wasn't trying to be mean-spirited with, that there were legitimate directions that hopefully would help him out.
I want to say one thing. We're not saying the person's name on the air, but as some of you are aware who listen to the show, when we go bowling now, there used to be a whole bunch of people that went, like a dozen people, many lovely young ladies and such, and now there are no ladies whatsoever because of one individual, who is not Vince, by the way. And Vince, we do not go up to this individual and try to offer him any help whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because we don't care. So I want you to know that when we give you this constructive criticism, I don't want you to take it like we are burying you or we are making fun of you. Because the reason we're doing this is because we actually care. And if you don't believe us, check out how we behave at the bowling alley to the individual who ran off all the women. We don't go, hey, sit down, Dr. X, and let us explain to you what the problem is. We just let him go about his business, we keep our distance, and we pray that perhaps, I don't know, things will change, but they never do. So with that out of the way, Shawn?
Yes.
The ball's in your court, dude.
You make an excellent point. And before Shawn goes, I like to say, wouldn't it be great if we actually were bowling with Dr. X, sea-level luchador?
Yes, it actually would be.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In fact, if we could get this person a Dr. X mask, half the battle would be won right there.
Now, I want to add that people in the forum are obviously going to be listening to the show tonight, and if they want to suggest any additional
Assuming they've made it this far.
Suggestions, maybe they should put it in some sort of a blog in there.
Well, yeah, Vinny's in the Ask, what's it called? Vinny's Karaoke Showcase?
Vinny's Karaoke Showcase, I think.
Sure, you can post in there. Actually, they'll probably end up posting in the link where I post this, but whatever.
All right. Well, here's my first suggestion, and these are all things that we thought of.
Do you actually have a list right there?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
He thinks about this every day.
I'm just trying to remember them, and as I talk, maybe they'll come back to me.
Okay.
The first suggestion I had was changing something drastically in your appearance to make yourself feel better about yourself.
Like a beard, for example.
Yes.
Not necessarily, yeah. If shaving the beard made you feel better, then that's a great start. But I'm talking maybe going out and buying yourself new clothes, maybe changing your hairstyle, maybe getting some of your hair colored, or maybe the whole thing colored. Doing something to yourself that you can do that'll make yourself feel better about yourself, because you know that when you feel better, you're going to project better.
I've got to interject for just a second right here, because I've got to tell a story.
Already laughing.
I am laughing because Shawn's little speech right there sounded like something out of Male Cosmo or something like that, some article that you would read. But I'm laughing because this reminds me of the day that we were heading down to Richie Magnet's birthday party, and we stopped.
How many details should we tell about this story?
None. I'm going to tell very little because when Buddy's on next Thursday, I'm going to let him tell the entire story. But to make a long story short, he said that we engaged in our own personal episode of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy as we dressed you up for an adventure at an outlet store. And that's exactly what this reminds me of right here. But
I still have that hat, by the way.
I'll bet you do. And we will let Buddy finish that story on Thursday. But Shawn?
All right, so that was my first suggestion. My second suggestion...
Oh, wait, hold on. Actually, since we're in the second one already, regarding the first one, when you colored your hair, you bleached your hair blonde. Did that help?
Yeah. It was cool because, people coming up, hey, you did something with your hair. It's always a good, conversation starter. You feel... It's just something inside that makes you feel better about yourself. That when you do something, hey, you got nice haircuts, you just feel better. And when you feel better, you can go out easier and you're more confident, I think, is the most important thing.
See, one thing that I learned is I have a very short attention span, as I've mentioned 18 billion times, and that includes with any normalcy in my own body, if that makes any sense. Like, the main reason that I decided to grow the Unabomber beard was because I get bored, and I have to do something different, some sort of change. What?
You're growing a beard for entertainment?
Why the fuck else would I grow a Unabomber beard, Vince? Because it's winter? Did you actually believe that story? It's getting cold out?
No. Just think about that. You're growing hair to amuse yourself.
Dude, yeah, I'll grow a goatee, I'll shave it off, I'll cut my hair, I'll grow my hair. There's a million different things. And the point I'm trying to make is, Shawn's suggestion here to change something about your appearance, you have no idea how easy it is to drastically change your appearance. Look at how drastically your appearance changed when you shaved. You look completely different.
Yeah, I hate it now.
There's glasses, there's no glasses, there's shaving, there's not shaving, there's coloring your hair like he said, there's cutting your hair, cut it into a mohawk, shave it bald, it grows back. There's a million different little options. And if, he's got a good point there. You've looked the same for so long, maybe you need something different that would spark you up.
All right.
Respond?
Vince actually looked like
defense? You're thinking about it?
No, defense is the wrong word.
Yeah,
reply.
not a defense, a reply.
No. You got a point. That's why I did have the same goatee for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, the same exact style of facial hair for 4 years.
So I thought maybe I'll try growing a full beard, the Chris Benoit full facial stubble look.
Sure.
So I tried that, and I don't know. It was actually a pain in the ass to maintain even more than just shaving. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just shave everything off. I actually do this about once a year, where I just shave my whole face, and I always look in the mirror and think, mistake.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with any sort of change in appearance, especially if you've had the same facial hair for 4 straight years. Any sort of change, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to go, oh my God, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? And you'll either like it or you don't. And if you don't like it, you need to give it at least 2 or 3 weeks because you have to get yourself used to it. And after 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be able to look at it in a different light and realize maybe it's not so bad, or good God, I was right. I need to grow this back or whatever.
To add to that point, maybe obviously you don't trust us, but perhaps you can ask a female friend of yours, maybe like Colleen or some other female friend. Maybe if they have any suggestions, say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Maybe if they have any suggestions, because obviously women are more in tune to a style than guys will ever be.
Yeah.
So maybe they will have something, and then you can actually think to yourself, hey, it's not my fault if you don't like it, and if the girls like it, then that's a plus.
And at the same time, if a girl gives you some sort of suggestion that you don't like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of... I'll probably end up shaving for this weekend. I haven't totally decided yet, because right now I don't really even care that much. I'll decide Saturday. But if I don't shave the beard, and some girl comes up, and she doesn't like me because I look like the Unabomber, well, see ya.
Yeah.
Shawn, next.
All right. We talked briefly about girlfriends, I think. We were talking about Vince's desire for a high-level girlfriend. He's always
high level.
He's always trying to get to the top of the pile first.
I can remind Bryan of what we were talking about here. Remember once you and me and Sonny were in the car and we were talking about this subject actually, and you asked what was the number one thing I was looking for in a woman. Do you remember what I said? Great physical beauty.
That's right. Yeah.
All right,
Shawn, go ahead.
All right. So my suggestion was not to put you down, but sometimes the high physical beauty females aren't necessarily...
They're into high physical beauty males, and I'm fucked.
Attracted to high physical beauty males.
Yes.
Hold on a second, though. I've got to say something about that. Every single solitary person listening to this right now has been to the gym or been to the mall or been anywhere on the face of God's green earth and seen the beautiful girl with the absolute dork.
That's true, too.
And there's a reason for this. And that is because sometimes really, really lovely women look in such a way that men are intimidated by them. And the only guys that really go after them are the goofy guys that have been turned down 17 billion times. And if you go after 17 million and one girls, you're going to get one of them, basically. And a lot of guys are terrified of rejection, and so they don't attempt to Vince just raised his hand. They don't attempt to ask any girls out. And sometimes, Vince, it really is just a numbers game. If you want a certain, let's say you're a great artist and you draw a picture of your dream girl, if you go out and find 50 or 100 of those girls that look just like that somewhere on this earth in some sort of voyage, if you ask all 100 of them out, I guarantee at least one of them is going to say yes. It's a numbers game.
I remember once reading an interview, it was someone talking about Gene Simmons from Kiss. They did a photo shoot together or something. And talking about Gene Simmons, it was these two people and about 600 hot babe models on this photo shoot. And the person noticed that in between every session, Gene was going through woman by woman, hitting on them, and he shot down over and over and over again.
Yes, Gene Simmons.
Yes, and the person said, "Don't you get tired of being rejected?" And Gene looked at him and said, "I only need one to say yes."
That's right. That's the point.
That's a beautiful attitude that I wish I could just snap my fingers and adapt.
But that's why you love drinking so much, is because when you're drinking, you have no inhibitions. You will go down a line of women at the club and just start dancing with all of them, whether they're dancing or not.
At Mr. Sexy's bachelor party. And
you dance with a pole at the Roy.
A pole. That may top the fat chick I was dancing with at Mr. Sexy's bachelor party, actually. I guess with an inanimate object.
Yes, a pole. But the pole didn't say no, dude.
The pole.
It's a numbers game.
Now, I wasn't necessarily talking about a numbers game, though. I was talking about, confidence and, getting up the will to asking women that are better looking and, trying to get up your will. There's no way she's going to go out with me, getting up that confidence. And my suggestion was, agreeing to see someone that is, below you, just to get your confidence up. See her, because the thing is, there's like women and men say this all the time, that men are instantly more attractive like when they're married, and because they just have this sort of aura about them that says, hey, you know what, I'm really confident, I got this beautiful woman on my side, and it's immediately attractive to other women. Women can sense this, and you can build that confidence by starting low, dating someone that's isn't in your current greatest looking female ever category, and building up your confidence with her, moving on to another girl, and just kind of moving your way up the food chain.
I don't know who said this, but someone once said that women want what other women want, or what other women have. And, if you are never around any women whatsoever, women will look at you and think, well, there's probably a reason for that. And if you're always surrounded by women, they will think, well, there must be something about this person that these women find attractive, so I must discover what this is, or something of that nature. So he does have a point that if you perhaps surround yourself by, it's just like anything, if you surround yourself by it, then there you go.
But definitely don't like
T-shirt.
Yeah, if you find yourself mingling with a group of girls and you haven't scared them off yet, other girls will come. It's just a matter of science. I don't know how it works.
Shawn cannot say anything to me without throwing in a cheap shot. He's incapable.
No, that's happened to me, though. I'm just saying, I wasn't directed towards you. I'm just saying that if you're with a group of women...
I think he's talking about the scare them off part that he found insulting.
Are you even aware you said that, or...
No. Because I'm saying that's happened to me. I'm saying that I have been with some girls, and all of them would be repulsing, so they leave.
Oh.
I'm saying that...
That's a terrible thing to have happen.
Well, it does happen. I just might have been, beyond drunk or whatever, but, it happens.
You may have vomited on them, something of that nature.
The point is...
The lady's like, Lord!
The point is, you have to move on and not feel sorry about yourself.
Next.
And that's a gift I've never had.
How many people are there in the world? 500 billion?
No. Maybe 9 billion?
Oh, sorry. Maybe I was thinking 500 million in the U.S. Anyway, the point is there's a lot of women, Vince. There's a lot of women. Don't give up. Next.
All right. What other suggestions did you have, do you think?
Okay, let's go back to that for a second.
All right.
There's something else about me that I've always known or always hated and not been able to change. It's not that I get rejected and I think...
Hold on a second. Before you continue this, I've just got to say that this is what we love about you, Vince. You are absolutely, completely honest.
Yeah.
You are incapable of being dishonest.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Okay. It's not... I see hot girl, I go talk to hot girl, she shoots me down. The problem is not that I think, oh no, I'll be alone forever. I think, oh no, this girl right here doesn't like me.
Therefore, I will never get a girl?
No, therefore I won't get her. I can't deal with rejection from the one.
From one individual in 5 billion?
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a problem.
That's a problem.
You need to be in a place with more than one girl, maybe. Perhaps
you're missing my point.
Bookstore is
you're missing the point,
not
Sean.
a good place to pick up chicks.
Sean, I'm not talking about being with one girl.
Oh, jeez.
I've never tried to pick up chicks at the comic book store, unlike someone we know who we won't mention.
Uh-oh, Sean's dying again.
That wasn't me, what he was referring to.
No, it was not Sean. But that's another story. You're missing the point. If we're at a club, well, unless I'm drunk, that changes everything. That's why I love drinking so much. But if I'm sober and I try to, if there's 100 girls at a party, remember the Gene Simmons story I was telling? He said he only needed one.
No, I forgot.
Oh God, no,
I'm
you didn't.
kidding. Go
Okay,
on.
he said he only needed one girl to say yes, then he'd be happy.
Sure.
If there's 100 chicks there, 99 say yes, the one who says no will break my heart.
Wow.
That's greedy.
That may be the right word for it.
I have no solution to that problem.
Yeah.
That is a very odd little...
The one who says no when we think, what's wrong with me that this girl doesn't like me?
And you can't look at the other 99 and go, maybe she's just...
Well, to be fair, this specific example has never actually happened. but yeah, that's when it's people I barely know, and they don't like me or whatever, and I'm done. I'm done for sometimes days at a time.
Wow. That could put a serious damper on this weekend. If something happens at, say, the casino...
Tomorrow we'll have the medicine. Whiskey.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow's Thursday.
Well, maybe tomorrow, too. I meant Saturday.
Good God.
At the rate this conversation's going.
So to make a long story short, what you're saying is you drink because it makes all of this easier.
Yes. Well, that's one reason. It makes me more relaxed. I mean, I'll have a drink during dinner now if I want. The other thing is now alcohol is just about the only thing my dad and I have in common.
Wow.
So we spent the day before his wedding throwing down shots of Crown Royal and talking about how great it was. And my brother-in-law just came home safe and sound from Iraq, so we're all very happy about that. Well, he has an affection for tequila, so my dad went out and bought like 4 different varieties of tequila.
That's the only thing you and your dad have in common.
And sports to a degree. He's into cars, I hate cars. I'm into wrestling, he hates wrestling.
He has a penis.
Oh.
Okay, this is what happens when Sean and you get together.
I'm sorry. But anyway, here's my question for you, Vince.
Yeah.
Okay, when you get drunk, nobody ever... Well, I guess some people do, but usually you're drunk and you have an awareness of what's going on around you. Usually, and this was one thing, because I recorded my first drunken experience on 2 digital recorders, of which I still have copies right here.
Oh, yes.
And the one thing I kept mentioning over and over was that I was completely aware of the fact that I was drunk.
Yeah.
I just had no control over anything. So, with that awareness, when you go to a club and you get drunk and you're able to associate with people, don't you sort of learn a little something in the drunkenness that you can take with you into sobriety, if that makes any sense? Like,
no.
well, okay, no, let's do it this way. Let's say you go into a bar and you don't drink. There's a bunch of girls there, okay? You, since you're sober, cannot go up to any of them and say, hey, can I buy you a drink?
This has happened.
Okay, now hold on. So now you go get drunk, you're in the bar, and you're hammered, and now you're going to every girl going, can I buy you a drink? It's on the house. We know the guy here, whatever. And it works.
I love your imitation of me.
No, but it works, you know what I mean? Because maybe some of them will say yes. So knowing that if you actually ask, they might say yes, which you know because it happened when you were drunk, can't you take that with you in your normal, sober life?
You would think so, but no. No, I'm paralyzed.
Uh-huh, okay. Well, that solves that problem.
Yeah.
All right, my other suggestion for young Vincent was to be going out more, period.
Yeah,
that's true. It is a numbers game.
It doesn't help to, sit there and complain that you're not getting any, and but, football's on, so.
And actually, that's not that funny because on Sunday, I know that would happen.
That's absolutely true.
Okay, go on.
If I know I haven't complained to Sean, but that's because Sean I'll be up in the morning and Sean will walk over and say, hey, I had a girl last night. Did you? Oh, too bad. and then I'll walk away, and that's when I complain.
I see.
So, yes, no, this is, well, a relevant side note. I love football. I love football so much. And my Sundays are not sad. My Sundays, I'm not lonely. Really, I'm never lonely. Just
Did I tell you that Vince was considering leaving early on Saturday so he can get up to watch football on Sunday?
there's no considering about this. I'm watching football at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. If I have to stay up all night to do it, I will.
Okay. You are not leaving early. Actually, you may leave early because Shawn and I might just boot you out and you'll have to get your own cab.
Sean and I talked about this. Make sure that I could get home in time so he could, because he wants to go to Ryan's tonight. I have no desire to go to Ryan Howard's house.
I see. Yeah, well, but you're not leaving early.
All right.
So, I just want you to know that. But yeah, Shawn is right. It is a numbers game. Just like pretty much anything else in the world. If you want to get a job, it's a numbers game handing out resumes. If you want to get some sort of acting gig, it's doing a bunch of auditions. If you want to
get fat, you got to eat a lot of calories.
Exactly, a numbers game. I wish we had a camera. I wish this were streaming in video, just the reactions of Vince for half this stuff. But anything else, Shawn, on your list?
I can't think of any right now. If I do, I'll post them in the forum.
All right. Well, I guess before we finish up today, I should ask Vince if he has any final comments before we do the big plug for the party this weekend. Vince?
No, I was just going to say we should plug the party.
Okay, well, yeah, tell us a little bit about the party.
Well,
actually, first off, how did the party come about? Did you just one day say, hey, I'm about to be old, let's celebrate
Sean's
my
idea. Well, that's not quite true. I've had the idea for my party invitation for like 3.5 years. Well, not that long. Years. Brian, you got the invitation. For those of you who did not get the invitation, which is probably everyone listening to this now, although you are all invited.
Before you say anything more, I just want to say that if I got the invitation, I do not remember a goddamn thing about it.
All right. Well, Shawn sent out one invitation, and some people were on both lists. So you may have seen Shawn's and then seen mine and then disregarded mine. My invitation said at the beginning, Vincent Verhei's Youth, 1975 to 2005.
God. All right.
Gather as we lay Vincent's youth to rest. Vincent will be there in his wizened, decrepit form, along with Shawn, who is even older. And I mentioned there will be dinner and drinks and more drinks and whiskey and dancing and more whiskey and drinks.
I see.
And I've been told, and the people who have seen it and replied said it was very funny.
Okay, well, good. Yeah. So you had this idea to have the party, and then...
Yes, I invited Vince out to a Monday Night Football party
Thank you, Shawn.
at this club, because I'm always trying to get him out sometimes.
Because we love you, Vince.
Yeah, it's not because I hate you. Do I want to be seen with you if I hate you?
That does make... You're right. I hate you. Come hang out with me does not make a lot of sense.
All right.
Good.
So I invited you out to this Monday Night Football party so you can watch the football games. We got at this place called the Club Hollywood Casino.
And that was fun, by the way.
In Shoreline. And there's a restaurant on top called the Red Crane Cafe, and the entire place is decorated from floor to ceiling with autographs of famous people from the turn of the century to this turn of the century.
Wow. And?
Okay. And so we're meeting there at 6 o'clock on Saturday, October 8th, to hang out, to have one or two drinks and eat some dinner and get some food in our stomachs. It's pretty much the time just to sit down and talk in a place where we don't have to yell at each other, as we will have to later.
Yeah.
That is true.
So we're probably going to eat dinner there and be there, and I want to say like 9 o'clock, because I want to be down at Belltown, which is the second half of our party, at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? That's awfully early, don't you think?
It is, but that's also 3 hours to be at the Red Crane Cafe to eat dinner.
That's true. Okay, so 9 o'clock at Belltown Billiards in Seattle. Where
Vince and I and our distinguished guests have access to the VIP room.
I've never seen the VIP room. What the hell is that?
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, you have. You've been back there.
Oh, so it's just the
corner?
corner?
The VIP room is the corner of the club. It's slightly larger than your apartment.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
But it'll have curtains on it, and we're getting the bracelets, and there'll be a guard standing by to prevent people without the bracelet from getting inside.
Wow.
It'll be high class. Because last time I was there was a bachelor party there with strippers.
Is it going to be a curtain with beads?
Oh, no, it's just like a black curtain that prevents people from looking in.
Wow, that'll be exciting. So, yeah, that is this coming Saturday. If you're in the area, those of you that live perhaps on the East Coast, buy your plane tickets now. We will be there celebrating the demise of young Vincent's youth. And the beginning of a new chapter in Shawn and my life. I don't care about Vince, so yeah.
Sometimes you must learn to feel like you need some kind of change. No matter what the odds are this time, nothing's gonna stand in our way. It's my heart, long lost friend. Right at the end, standing tall on the wings of our dreams, rise and fall on the winds of our dreams. Rain and thunder, the wind and change, I know, well, better days. My life, my dreams, nothing's gonna stop me now.
Well, we're on the air now.
You're welcome.
I hope you're all happy with what you've just done. If anybody actually survived that, I commend you. Shawn's mic is already way too loud. We blew out all the speakers with that little segment right
Good
there.
to know now, after the fact.
How about you talking to the mic instead of looking at me and having the mic out way to your... Thank you. There we go. Well, kids, here we are for the Bryan and Shawn show to talk about the birthday party. And believe it or not, that opening segment, nobody has been drinking.
I may still be drunk from Saturday.
We are all theoretically completely sober. We just got back from the bowling alley, in which we had a time. I don't know how to really...
We all bowled really well.
Well, the second game, yeah. The first game sucked.
Yeah.
Time is a great way to put it, yes. We had a time, yes.
Yes, we had a time there with Yeti and
Time
Jason.
did indeed pass.
So, yeah, I guess we don't have a format here for this program, and everyone's been waiting to hear about how the party went. So I guess to start out, Vince, it was your birthday, as well as you, Shawn, but we're going to ask Vince first. How was the party overall?
I'm very happy with the way the party went.
Shawn, this is why I need you to be the co-host today. Let's move on.
Your essay?
Yes. I'm very, 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 very happy.
All right, Shawn, how about you?
I had a good time. I think I didn't drink enough.
Really?
I did a lot of hosting, a lot of introducing people, because I was doing the polite thing and having people meet other people and doing that kind of thing, while other people that we know who else had a birthday party was just drinking.
That's not quite fair. At the dinner, I was trying to introduce people, but people would show up and I would gesture towards and say, "Let me introduce you to my family," and they would say, "I'll be over here."
Which I don't understand, because you have two very attractive sisters.
That's true. But Big Wood did not want to meet my sisters. Tracy, who I work with, did not want to meet my sisters or my friends or anyone else.
To be fair, Big Wood knew that there was a bar there, so...
It's true. He did walk straight up to the bar.
The sisters were away from the bar.
That's true.
The sisters were down in sort of a different area, sequestered away from the bar, and I think Big Wood and his wife just wanted to drink and eat some hamburgers and fries, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, can't blame him for that. The highlight for Big Wood was he bought me a shot of something, and I'm up there waiting for it, and that's when my friend Greg showed up, and Greg's about 6'2", probably 280 or so, and he saw me and came up to say hi, and I said hi to him, and I said, "Greg, this is my friend Big Wood." Big Wood eyed Greg up and down, and the first words he ever said to him, "You're a big son of a bitch, ain't you?"
Yeah, that's Big Wood for you.
Yes.
So I guess we should start with the pre-party. Actually, I guess it was just the first part of the party. We went to the casino, which 3 days later, I still don't remember what it's called.
The Red Crane Cafe.
The Red Crane Cafe in the
Club Hollywood Casino.
Club Hollywood Casino. And everybody was there. They started showing up around 6 o'clock. The highlight of this, by the way, was when I called Vince shortly after doing the pre-show that we did here on this site, and I said, "Hey, Vince, what if I just met you at your house at 5:30 and you drove me out there to the casino with you?" And he said, "Bryan, you need to make sure you're here at 5:30 because everybody's going to be expecting me at 6 o'clock, and I've got to be there on time." And for some reason, this made me laugh so hard because I pictured us showing up at 6 o'clock and having balloons everywhere and the big banner, "Happy Birthday, Vince." And I picture you sitting there all by yourself with a little conical hat on in a corner for about an hour and a half before people started to trickle in. And to be honest, Vince, nobody was there at 6 o'clock.
That's not true. My sister was there.
Oh, I'm sorry. One human being was there.
Yeah.
She's actually waiting to get in when we showed up. I'd like to mention, actually, the first part when we stopped by the display and costume store before we actually went to the Red
That's right, we went to
Train. Had to pick up some wristbands to get into the VIP room.
The first complaining of the show. Go ahead, Shawn.
And first off, there was no parking.
That's true.
Which is not fair because they had these cones set up, and so we had to go park way the F away.
Mm-hmm.
And when we walked up there was plenty of parking, and the cones were gone, so that was totally unfair.
Yeah, during the time when we
that.
parked and went back to the costume store, they'd removed the cones.
And then there was plenty of parking. Yes.
Nice.
All right, so we get inside, and it's busy because it's Halloween time, and we're walking around, and I took off to go find the wristbands because we were on a schedule. And I picked up the wristbands, and I go stand in line, and I call Vince, and I told him, all right, I have the wristbands. I'm standing in line. I'm paying for them. Meet me out front. And he says, okay. We're over here in the hats. And I said, all right. Hung up, paid for my stuff, went up front. No one was there.
Well, actually, what happened, Shawn, was we were in the area trying on various wacky hats. And Vince got a call, and I said, who's that? And he said, it's Shawn. And I said, well, what's he want? And he said something to the effect of, he's in the line to check out now, or something of that nature.
I think I just said he's in line.
He's in line or something. So I figured, okay, well, he's in line. He's got some time to waste here, and Vince didn't tell me otherwise, so we just hung out there.
That's probably true.
I was done in less than 20 seconds. I paid for my stuff with cash, walked out, stood by the door for like 2 minutes waiting for you guys to show up. And finally, I ended up having to walk to the store with my purchases looking for you guys.
And you found us, at least.
You found us.
That's the good news.
Now, Shawn, had you been there with us trying on wacky hats and knowing how much fun it was, you wouldn't be angry.
We did have an awful lot of fun trying on various different hats.
I still think the best one was when Bryan tried on the Pharaoh's headdress.
I actually wanted to buy the Pharaoh headdress so I could do it during the show, but it would only work if we had a webcam, because I wanted Vince sitting there just in his T-shirt and his slacks, and I would be here in my giant Pharaoh headdress yelling at him throughout the show.
We'd have to put you on some sort of big concrete block, too.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, so I had to be looking up at you.
And we actually put the big picture of the Sphinx right there behind me, and then everything would be complete.
There is a big picture of the Sphinx here.
That's right. I love that photograph.
Yeah.
So then we went from the costume store back to the car, and we drove on out. And I should note it was me, Vinny, and Shawn here, and Vince's other roommate, and Shawn's other roommate, Jim, who managed to squeeze into the car with us, and he is a large man. And we drove out to the casino, and we parked, and we went in, and as mentioned, there was one human being there waiting for the party.
All right, one mention here, I don't know if you remember this, but on the way down 99, we stopped by Taco Bell, and there happened to be a sign that Vince was looking for.
We passed this sign.
Well, let's let Vince tell the story, because
Right.
it's such a great joke. Maybe everybody will laugh.
I wanted to make sure that Bryan and Shawn saw this sign, and because I still think it's funny. But we passed this Taco Bell, and I said, everyone, read the sign. I forgot that Bryan was blind. So we passed by the sign, and Bryan said, what did it say? And I said, let this be a sign.
That's it. That's a joke.
And I waited.
There was a long silence.
And I waited.
Like there is right now.
And I turned around, and I looked around for a bit, and finally just said, I thought it was funny.
Let this be a sign. And I think we actually remembered to remind Vince of this statement throughout the night, even at our most drunk. I believe there were a couple of, let this be a sign, Vince, as he was getting hammered in the VIP room. Yeah, that was a big punchline.
Later,
let this be a sign.
With Bryan watching, I repeated this sign to Craig. I told him about the sign I saw at Taco Bell. It said, let this be a sign. And Craig didn't laugh for about 3 seconds, and then he couldn't help himself. The smallest chuckle you ever heard escaped from his mouth. And I said, aha! Craig thinks it's funny.
Yeah, well, I don't think that Craig's the right guy to play these jokes on, because Craig is a sucker for the lamest jokes. And I think that even he would admit that. Let this be a sign. Yeah. So anyway, then we got to the casino. We walked in, and Vince would actually best handle this because, actually, Shawn started showing me around. What was there, Shawn?
The place is decorated with autographs from famous people from the turn of the century to this turn of the century. And
including Buster Keaton.
The cast of Tombstone.
Mo Howard, Clint Eastwood. Everyone you could possibly think of who has ever been in a movie had something autographed there. And the entire place was decorated from floor to ceiling with autograph stuff on every single wall.
Buster Keaton stuff was there?
I don't know if you noticed this, Vince, but there's Buster Keaton stuff there, too.
I see. Keaton, you say?
Yeah.
Obviously, you overlooked like the Jean-Claude Van Damme autograph.
I did actually miss that one.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
So there was just a ton of stuff to look at.
So then we went in and they seated us and they put menus in front of us, and all I really remember is that my menu was placed in front of me at about 6 o'clock. The waitress didn't even come around to take my order until about 7, and she didn't even bring the check until we actually tried to leave, and she grabbed me on the way out and asked me to pay, but I goddamn near got away with it. But it was interesting food. How would you describe it?
Well, first of all, we had the drink menu, and all because of the Hollywood theme, all the drinks were titled after various movies. And they had something called The Tombstone, which is a great movie, and it has Jack Daniels in it, so I thought it'd be good, and it was. So I had that. And then for food, I wasn't sure how hungry I was. And also, the one time I was there before...
Didn't you have some other fruity drink, too?
Later.
Besides, okay.
Well, we'll get to that. I had been there one time before, and I had a really good hamburger for $4, so I was planning on having that again. And then I found out that was the Monday Night Football special price. The regular price for hamburgers is like $10, so I was not thrilled about that. So I figured I would try something new, and my sister's a big sushi fan, so she's going through the sushi menu, and I've tried sushi once. I never really need to eat it again. But then I got to the bottom, and they had this one sushi item called the Duke, which was steak and bacon and cream cheese and green onions rolled in rice and seaweed. And I thought, if I am ever going to enjoy sushi, it would be that one. So I ordered that. I ordered the steak sushi.
Wow.
Yeah.
I ordered noodles with chicken. That was as brave as I got that evening. Yeah. If I drank, I might have tried some sushi, but I didn't drink it all during the pre-show. So.
I had a chicken sandwich with fries, and I would just like to say that my fries were well eaten by Mr. Alvarez.
I had maybe 3 fries.
Maybe 3 dozen fries.
Why are you both looking at me? I wasn't there.
Well, whenever food vanishes, we always look at you.
The lady delivered my food to my table, but I was over talking to my brother and my sister. And apparently while I was over there, Bryan had moved from his chicken dish to my fries.
Okay, I had noodles and chicken in front of me, and you came back and I said, "Hey, Shawn, can I have a fry?" And you said, "Sure."
This was post-eating fries.
And I took a fry, and then Craig was like, "Shawn, you know he had about 3 dozen while you were gone." And Craig, being a practical joker, riled you up and you believed him. You're a fool, dude. I didn't have your fries.
Regardless, you had some of my fries, but I didn't eat all the fries anyway, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Big Wood showed up.
Big Wood showed up. No Sonny O'Mara, no Bobby Hawthorne. I invited a couple of people from work. Only one showed up, and he refused to associate with anyone.
My sister was looking for Chef and Avalanche.
Really?
Chef and Avalanche did not show up.
I got to ask you about your sister, Shawn. What's up with her?
Which one?
Well, the one that was sitting there all by herself for about 2 hours.
All of my sisters brought someone with them, so they wouldn't... Oh, I know which one. You're talking about Crystal. That's because Dennis was downstairs gambling.
So she just sat there all by herself and didn't talk to anybody?
But even when he was there...
They never associated with each other.
They were sitting on one end, and I walked by a couple times to try and initiate conversation, but they just sat there. And I asked them if they were bored, and they said yes. And I said, "Oh, sorry." And then I went and got myself a drink.
And then walked off, yes.
So I found that very odd that she was just sitting there by herself, and I had this desire to go over and say, "Why are you sitting here by yourself?" But, you know, she was there with her man, dude. So I just ate, and...
Yeah. My sister showed up, a cousin showed up. I say probably half the people I invited showed up.
Yeah, so let's get on to the excitement. Nothing happened during this part. We all ate a little bit, then we left, and...
Vince did some gambling.
Oh, tell a gambling story very quickly. That's at least
I went downstairs to play blackjack after my tombstone and I think 2 shots. And I was doing okay for a while. I was hanging in there. I was up $5 at a $5 table, which means I had one more hand than I had lost. And then Buddy Wayne called to check in, and I gave him the... What?
Winning... Never mind. That would make you even.
No, I had one more hand than I had lost.
Okay, so anyway, go on. I'm speeding this along.
Shawn's
come on.
Lost. All right. I was up $5. Man. Trust me on this one. Then Buddy Wayne
I'm just
called.
remembering the time that Shawn was trying to explain what he'd done in Vegas with some blackjack table or some bullshit, and you tried to explain it for 25 minutes, and at the end I still... Yes! At the end I still had no idea what you were talking about.
I never told that story once at the birthday party.
No, this was in Vegas. This is a totally different thing.
No, it was poker.
It was poker.
It was poker, but I never told that story at the birthday party.
I know, but you were telling the story to me, and it took 25 minutes, and in the end I still didn't get it.
You were telling the story to him in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas,
So I was afraid you were going to try and explain this to Vince, and you guys were going to banter back and forth about how much you'd won and lost, and it was going to be 25 minutes of the show.
You know what's funny is that he It never would have come up if you had not raised the issue.
Okay, so just go on.
Goddamn
What
So
happened?
listen, I was a head, and then Buddy Wayne called to check on the party. I gave him the briefing about what I had drank, which was specifically at that time a shot of something. I don't know what it was, and Buddy hung up and alerted the board. At which point I began to lose money
Hand over
quickly.
fist.
Yes, and I ended up when the night was through. I ended up down $25. Now that evening I was $30, but since then I had found one of the chips in my wallet, so I lost $25 at the tables.
Okay, so you found that lost chip that you lost, not even gambling?
Yeah, there was a chip I lost. I don't mean I lost it at the tables. I mean I could not find where it went. I sat down at one point with like 8 chips, and then when I went back to the gamble, I had 7.
Well, that won't be the first time this evening, now would it? So then we all went in a caravan. It was a long caravan of various cars to the club, and I would like to note a story that took place in the car because I've got to make a public apology here. It was me and McCain, who I coached when he was very young, and his girlfriend, and Craig and his wife, Michelle. And we're in the car, and somebody said a bad word. I can't remember who it was. I'm sure it was not me. But I made the comment, don't swear. Craig and Michelle are very pious people. And the next day, to make a long story short, we showed up for the pay-per-view, and Michelle said, I almost didn't cook for you because you called us pious. And she was greatly insulted that I'd called them pious. And I said, why were you insulted? And she explained that pious was... What did she explain, Vince? How did she put
being
this?
pious means you think you're better than everyone because you're religious.
That's right. And what I had been trying to say was, Craig and Michelle are nice church-going people. We shouldn't be swearing in front of them and such. And instead it came across as Craig and Michelle think they're all high and mighty and we must watch ourselves in front of them. So I would just like to say right now that I publicly apologize for referring to them as pious folk, and for all of the other people in my lifetime that I've called pious. Now I feel so bad because I've insulted dozens and dozens and maybe hundreds of people in my lifetime. So, sorry everybody. So anyway, then we got to the club.
Yeah. We got to the club and the parade of alcoholic beverages began. I
see there's a long pause here,
Yes.
so let me jump in. I think Shawn might have fallen asleep. Is he awake over there?
I'm fun. You guys were talking about pious.
Fine, I'll explain the story here. When we got to the thing, I didn't drink a thing all night because I was waiting for the club, and I had a little to eat, so I showed up.
Okay, but you had nothing at the dinner. I had the tombstone. I had a shot of what I was later told was called German chocolate cake. I have no idea what's in that. I had a shot of tequila. I think I had a shot of Jägermeister at dinner. And then I wanted one more mixed drink, and so I ordered something called, I think it was called Malibu's Most Wanted or something, but it had rum and pineapple, and it was this tropical thing. And I went down, and people said, hey, what are you drinking? I said, oh, it's Malibu's Most Wanted. Someone said, wow, could you have picked a drink with a gayer name?
Well.
And the answer was no.
No.
That's not surprising.
I had one drink at the cafe. It was called the Back to School. It's some sort of cranberry vanilla vodka.
I remember looking at it. It was like a cranberry vodka with some other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was good time.
So I had 2 drinks and 3 shots by the time we got to the club.
So I got to the club, and I really wanted some alcohol at this point. And I
can
showed
only
up
imagine.
with McCain and Melissa, and we walked in, and Ryan, who owns the club and who we all went to high school with, at least that's what's alleged. I don't remember him one bit, but I don't remember Vince either. Or really Shawn, so I guess it doesn't matter. But so we got there, and he had gotten shots for everybody. And we showed up, and I said, hi, how's it going? Everything is McCain, Melissa, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, we're out of shots. I'm going to need to go get 3 more. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, hurry up, dude, please, come on now. And he goes, hold on, I'll be right back. And he walked over to the bar and vanished. And we all sat there for about 10, 15 minutes, and by this point I was getting jittery. I was ready to, have the temerity go around and sip out of other people's alcohol, which I would never normally do. So finally I go through the curtain, and there's Ryan over there, and he's been drinking quite a bit. And he's got 6 shots in front of him. And I made some sort of nonchalant comment. I didn't want to say, hey, is that my liquor? But I said some sort of comment. He goes, oh, hey, can you do me a favor? Take 3 of these and go in and give them to those 3 people on the couch. I owe them drinks. And I thought, he's got to be referring to me and McCain and Melissa. And so I pointed to those 2, and I said, are you talking about those 2 right there? He goes, no, the 3 on the couch. And I was like, all right. So now I'm a bartender, and I still haven't got a drink yet. And I took the 3, and I go through the curtain, and there's like 2 people on one couch and 1 person on another couch. And I think one of them was your brother, Shawn, and I went up to him first and I said, "Are you waiting for drinks here?" And he's like, "No." So I asked the person next to him, and that person said no. So I went over to the other table, and that person said no. And so I drank the 3.
Oh, 3?
I figured
At once.
I figured they should not go to waste, and I consumed them. And then I was on my way, baby.
It was all uphill from there.
It was all uphill. Let me
I think
tell you.
I think I walked in. I got there a little before you, and I think a lemon drop was put in front of me before I said hi to anyone.
Wow.
So I downed it.
Yeah, and then I went to Shawn, and I got a tall vodka cran because he'd gotten one, and I drank that, and I was gone at that point.
The beginning of the end.
It really was the beginning of the end. And then, I might as well just go over the whole drink list here, and then we can all do it.
All right.
After finishing the 3 and the tall vodka cran, McCain's girlfriend wanted a blue Hawaiian. She never had one before, so I ended up getting 3 of them, one for each of us. 3 of the tall blue Hawaiians. Drank mine. They both drank a little of theirs, and then they actually went home about midnight, and so I consumed the remainder of both of theirs. And then apparently I guess I was going around all night saying I'd only had 1 drink.
I didn't know that. I actually don't remember seeing you.
I don't remember that either. I remember you just going around saying, "I am so fucking wasted right now.
I may have said that on an occasion.
I am
or two.
so fucking drunk."
I would never have used the F word, but go on.
You were wasted. You could just see it in your eyes. On top with your pirate hat that you stole from the pirates.
I didn't steal it. Somebody
Seafarer
gave
pirates
it to me.
were there, folks, and
Yeah.
most of you won't know who they are, but they're these men who they're pirates, basically.
They are actual legit pirates. They don't wear fake hats.
No, they have real pirate hats and real pirate swords and a bird, and they were hanging out there, even though Seafarers was over for a month.
Your goofy blonde friend with the curly hair, what's her name?
Heather?
Heather. She's the one that gave me the hat.
Heather got you the hat.
She didn't have blonde hair, but
She's light brown hair.
It's blondish.
it's brown.
This does not matter. Anyway, she gave me the hat. And, I had it for most of the evening, and then I don't know whatever happened to it.
Well, the rest of the night you were asking people for sips, which I know is something that you and I have talked about.
No, hold on a second. First off, we have not talked about this. Vince had to talk about this to me.
I had to talk about it with you when
Nope.
you did it with Jana.
No, Vince did. You never mentioned a thing.
Ever?
No.
That is BS.
No, because
I have talked to you about this before.
No.
Was he drunk at the time
But I
you
would,
talked to him?
I would like to say this. I did remember this, and I did not take 1 sip of any of Janet's drinks. I didn't even ask.
All right.
And in hindsight, I wish I would have.
I'm not
to be
talking
honest
about.
with you.
Okay, I'm not talking about that Saturday night. Previously, I have talked to you about.
No, Vince did. Nobody ever mentioned it to me.
I did talk
Vince,
to him.
out of the blue, mentioned one day, Jana was not happy that you kept asking for her drinks.
That.
And you know why?
Me.
And you know why that drove me crazy? You know why that drove me crazy? Because the night that it was happening, I don't take drinks out of anybody's drink that does not give me the A-OK. And she was feeding me liquor that night. I swear to the Lord above. So when I heard that story, that she was mad that I was taking drinks out of her drink, I was like, the next time I see this girl.
Here's what may have happened then. Because that night we went out, it was Jana and Colleen. And there may have been others. But we all went out and partied. And Shawn told me later that the girls, and that was the term he used, had complained about Bryan taking sips from their drinks. So it may well have been just Colleen.
Either way, here's the way I look at it. If everybody's drinking, and there are drinks all over the place, and I go up and say, hey, can I have a sip of that? And they go, sure, here you go. I'm going to take a sip out of it.
Yeah.
If they say, no, this is mine, go get your own, then I'm not going to ask again. But if somebody throughout the night is going, hey, sure, go ahead, here you go, and then I hear the next day that they got upset that I was drinking out of their liquor, particularly when every drink they had was on the frickin' house, that upset me. I'd just like to get that off my chest right now. Would you like to add anything to that, both of you, now that we're all... I'm hearing it here for the first time?
I think it's one of those rules that you kind of like, you drink your own drink. It's not really polite to go ask other people to have some of theirs. It's, it's polite to say, sure, go ahead, but...
No, I figure once everybody's wasted, everybody's being honest when they're wasted, you can very easily say, no, get your own drink, which people have done to me many times in the past.
And you haven't buggered them into sharing?
I did not ask Jenna one time at this party. after I heard that story.
That's perfectly fine.
Although
but,
I was so annoyed when I first heard the story because she'd actually been feeding me liquor that I thought, I'm going to drink every single thing she's got tonight from hell or high water.
All right, on Saturday you had some of my Hurricane, and you had some of Liz's Gin and Tonic.
I didn't have any gin and tonic. We had this argument at the bowling alley, but I remember this because I was attempting to be on my best behavior.
I do not believe you do not remember that, considering
I do.
other things you do not remember from Saturday night.
You know why I know I didn't have a gin and tonic? This is a true story, as God is my witness. And Grandma, if she's listening to this, will back me up. When I was 5 years old, I was at my grandmother's house, and she always had 7-Up. And she had these white plastic styrofoam cups like we've got right here. And I would always drink 7-Up out of it. And one day she poured some gin in a little white plastic cup. And it happened to be sitting down there next to my 7-Up. And I picked it up, and I downed that whole thing of gin, and I vomited everywhere. And I did not drink again until I was 29 years old.
All right.
So I cannot even fathom somebody going, this is gin and tonic. And
That's
me going,
because, okay,
let me have a sip of that.
All right, let me set the actual scene for you when you drank some of her drink.
All right, I'm
Liz
listening.
and I and you were out on the dance floor. Vince was kind of off to our side. He was initially...
We were on the dance floor?
We were on the dance floor. She had her drink. Okay.
Go on.
Your hat was becoming askew. This was right after it ripped, and you kept on trying to put it back on, but it kept on falling off because the hat was now ripped and
We may have done this show early, but go on.
And you threw the hat on the ground. Liz had her drink. You threw the hat on the ground because it no longer fit on your head.
Okay.
Because it was ripped.
All right.
All right. Liz has her drink. I'm dancing with Liz. We are standing right in front of, to the right of the VIP room where that second bar is. There's that little
Vince
table
is looking at you like you're full of shit, that you could possibly remember all this. But go on.
No, that's not what I'm looking at. That's not what I'm looking at.
Because I hardly drank.
Okay, go on.
That little round table that sits out of that post where we were dancing by with all the drinks on it, right?
Sure.
Where you threw your hat.
Sure.
Anyway, she has her drink. You were so wasted that not only were your eyes just kind of like crooked because you couldn't hold your head straight anymore.
What a lie. Go on.
But I'm dancing with Liz, who was the girl that I was with at the time.
Sure.
We are standing chest to chest.
Okay.
You are behind Liz with your arms around her waist, kissing the back of her neck.
No way.
You were.
No.
We can call Ryan and ask.
I'll call him right now.
All right.
No, it's not. Go on.
We can call Ryan. We can ask.
I was going to call Liz and ask.
Later, Ryan came up to me and he said, Bryan is so wasted. Did you see him making out with Liz? And I was like, yes, I was there.
Okay, go on. I'll tell my side of the story in
All
a
right,
minute.
so you were kissing Liz in the back.
Sure.
And she kind of got tired of that, so she turned around to kind of like casually push
Kiss
you
me on
off
the lips.
or something like that.
Sure, go on.
And no, not kiss you on the lips. Who would ever do that? Not even a female would ever consider such a thing.
Let's go.
She had her drink, and she...
Vince, you better be putting the cage together as we do this.
And so she's kind of like, I'm dancing with Liz still. She has her drink. You asked her for a sip of that, and that's when you had a sip of her gin and tonic. You never knew what it was. If you knew it was a gin and tonic, quite possibly you would.
Okay, well that's fair then. I will admit that perhaps something like that might have happened, but I remember there was an incident where we were all inside the VIP room, and I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Gin and tonic," and I turned it down.
That might have been later then, or earlier.
All right, Vince, I see you've got things you want to say here.
This is the reason I was looking at Shawn. It was not you are so full of shit.
Okay.
Up until the previous 2 or 3 minutes, when I got into the involuntary three-way on the dance floor, I'm wondering if any one person on the planet Earth could have possibly cared about the prior 15 minutes of conversation.
I don't think anyone...
Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't.
Shut up, Vince. I don't think anyone's going to care about any of this show, but I will now give my defense, okay?
Your side of the story.
First off, I was not kissing her in the back of the neck. I guarantee you. And Ryan was wasted too. You're having one wasted guy explain what another wasted guy was doing. Thank you very much. And second off, I was out on the dance floor. I do recall this. I do remember throwing the pirate hat away. I seem to recall doing that in the VIP room, however.
No, so on the dance floor.
I'm thinking there may be some problems with this whole story here.
Once again, you could have thrown it down, picked it up, and thrown it down again somewhere else.
Okay, that's fine. But
it might have fallen off your head when you're trying to sit down on the couch and you fell on your ass.
The whole point of the story is this. I don't think that I was as wasted as you were explaining to me. Because I remember that I was extremely drunk. I remember this. And I can even remember the cab ride home. Quite vividly, in fact. I remember how much we were embarrassed. You know what we'll do? I got an idea. I've got the voice recorder.
All right.
At some point, I will play back because I know I had that damn thing on the dance floor. I'm positive. So if we hear any...
That'll be static.
That will confirm your story, and if not, that will confirm my story.
Brian Alvarez, Master Detective.
I'm never drinking again. I've decided. I quit.
Pussy.
No, I quit.
All right. Well, we can ask Liz.
Well, I will.
And we can ask Ryan. I have both their numbers.
Okay, hold on. I will.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up. You two got wasted at the party.
Sure.
I didn't drink as much as I could have because I was more getting people drinks to get wasted with, and
I do remember you were more sober than I expect you to be.
Yeah, I was quite fine on Sunday, unlike you two.
Yeah.
I was better than him.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Saturday night, you were possibly more wasted than Brian before we went to bed.
Awesome.
I'm certain of that.
All right. So you two drank a lot. I didn't, and then we kind of split up and we went back to our house.
I recall that. Vince, remember the cab ride? You weren't in the car for this, Shawn. I wish Jim were here to explain this story.
Jim, yeah, we may have to call Jim. Basically, the cab ride home is ordinarily, I think, about 12 minutes. And I'm sure that for these 12 minutes, there was not 1 second when at least one of us was not talking.
Oh, I'm certain of it.
Perhaps both.
It was mostly you, though.
Probably.
And I have this on tape, too, so we'll play this back.
I don't deny that.
It was a very long cab ride home. We stumbled out of the cab and went inside, at which point...
I gave Jim all my money, which was, I believe, $19, and the fare for the cab was like $19.50.
Yes.
So Jim took my money and said, "Sir, I don't have enough cash to give you a tip, so I'm going to have to put this on my card." And the guy said, "No, that's okay.
Just get out.
Just get out." And he took less than the fare and drove away as quickly as he could.
Yes.
So this is the situation that you two were just talking your mouths off and Brian was putting his tongue in your ear?
Brian was attempting to rape me.
I was doing no such thing. You held the camera up, and I remembered the picture we took at the bowling with Sam where I did the exact same thing, and I thought, I've got to recreate this, and that's what I did. But thank you.
Yes. I took about 3 more self-portraits in the cab. I have no idea why. I cannot explain my fascination with taking ugly photos of my own face. I don't know what is...
We don't either.
No.
So then we got inside and we were all alive, and Shawn, you can continue. Even though you're a bold-faced liar.
Well, I'll have to redeem myself when you call these people to confirm.
That's fine, I will.
All right.
Although, like I said, I don't know about calling the guy that was drunk. I will not call Ryan. I refuse.
I will say that...
Because he was hammered when I got my 3 drinks at the beginning of the night, and that was like at 10 o'clock.
But between getting out of the cab and sitting down on my computer about 15 minutes later, the little window in between there, I have no idea what happened. I have no memory whatsoever of anything else.
All right, so we came inside, and the first thing I did was I started to take apart the couch to put together Brian's bed.
That's right.
Liz was getting you guys water.
That's right.
You guys were drinking water.
Did we arrive at the same time? Yeah, we were in the same cab. But you and...
We arrived at the same time, but we were in separate cabs.
Yeah, Shawn and Liz were in a different cab.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're in the house, and Liz is feeding you water. I'm setting up the bed, and you guys start having this argument over who is more drunk. And at one point, to prove his point that Vince was more drunk, he had his arm or his hand...
Wait, we were both arguing that, like I was saying, I'm more drunk than you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I must have been drunk, because normally I would just say, Vince, you're much more drunk than I am.
Both of you were positive that you were more drunk.
Okay.
And at
It was
one
probably
point,
a pretty damn good argument, too, because we both had a good case.
Vince was standing in front of the stove with he's kind of like leaning on with one arm off to the side. And as he was talking, he had his water in one hand, and he starts to lean over, and his hand starts slipping. His entire body starts falling over. And as he's falling over, he casually said to himself and everyone else, "Hey, I'm slipping." And he proceeded to
continue to slip.
And he continued to fall over, and he fell over onto the other counter, so he didn't actually fall on the ground. But he almost spilled his water, and he couldn't stand anymore. So at that point, we decided to pack it up.
Hold on, I will say this now, going back, that I just recalled. I fell down in the VIP room.
You did. Yes.
I remember this. And I was cognizant of it, too.
You fell down hard,
I didn't care.
You took a bump.
I
Yes.
did. Yeah. And I'm fine the next day.
I did that a couple of times on the couch in there.
And you were trying to sit on the floor, and I was trying to get you up off the floor
That's
so you could
right.
sit on the couch.
I
didn't want you to get kicked out.
I remember another story. I went outside because somebody had called me, and I couldn't hear anything indoors, and I went outside to call, and I tried to get back in, and I almost was locked out. Because the dude took one look at me, and he goes, "Let's let these young ladies in first." And I thought, oh, Jesus, I'm screwed. I ain't getting back in. And I stood there, and I just stood straight as a pole, and I opened my eyes wide and smiled. And the guy goes, "All right, buddy, get in here." And he shoved me inside, and I thought, oh, the Lord was with me.
No, Scott's a good guy.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's see here. So, we went off to our separate beds, and Vince went off to his...
Separate beds, everyone.
Yes.
Separate beds.
Vince went off to his room, and the first thing he did was head straight to the computer. And
I wanted to let everyone know I was alive and okay.
And you've all read that.
And while
no, that wasn't the bad one. That was the one where I just said we're all okay.
We're all safe. All right.
I'm alive. I thank my friend Jim profusely for getting me home safe.
Yes. Thank God for Jim.
But Vince has a loud keyboard, I think it was, and so he was typing away, and Bryan is laying on the pull-out bed, and he's trying to start to get to bed, and he screamed at Vince. He screamed at him to turn off the light, you fag.
I would never say such a thing.
Was a direct quote.
Never. And Jim yelled at you too.
Well, that was later.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I didn't hear you yell at me, so I'm not sure exactly when that happened. But I sat down at the computer. I made a quick post on the board saying, we're okay, Jim got me home safe, we had fun, I'll talk to you later. That was the gist of the message. And then, with Jim's help, I went over to my bed, in my clothes, got under the covers, Jim turned the lights down, and I was in bed, and I should have stopped there. But no. 2 or 3 minutes passed, and then I could not contain myself anymore, and I had to type more. So I threw the covers off, crawled on my hands and knees over to the computer, drug myself into the chair, and then I typed missive number 2. And that's the one where I made slanderous lies about Bryan, and typed screaming.
I would just like you to once more repeat that you slandered my good name.
Let me state, for the record, Bryan did not try to grab my junk.
No, I did not.
He's not gay. You can believe him. He is certainly not gay to the motherfucking bone.
Apparently I've learned that tonight. But go on.
Yes. So, I typed this. Then Jim was in the basement, but as Dave mentioned, I can type loudly. So I hear Jim shout, "Are you typing again?" So I just shouted as loud as I could, "Quiet!"
now I remember that. And so, you finally finished typing and you went off to bed.
I crawled back across my room on my hands and knees, back into bed, and died.
Liz and I were trying to get out, and finally we were leaving the kitchen, and Bryan asked us both to not have sex so loudly.
I was so tired.
I had not heard that.
Which seems kind of inappropriate. So
at that point in the evening, everybody was cool with everything. Come on now.
I know, but still, it just seems a little awkward.
Hey, Shawn, I was drunk, dude. I apologize.
Which both of us understood because it was funny.
That's right. And then I went to sleep, and I slept like a corpse for 8 straight hours. And at 10 o'clock a.m., I woke up to actually Vince's...
No. Well...
What?
If it was 8 straight hours, it would have been more like 11.
Fine. I woke up at 10.
Math man.
Jesus. I woke up at 10 o'clock to Vince's
you made a square one joke.
grotesque body
8 plus 3.
lumbering out of his room, hairy, hair all disheveled, his glasses all askew, smelly, to go downstairs so that he can watch
fell asleep.
football. And I kind of stumbled out of bed because for the first 5 minutes I felt like $1 million. I'm like, my God, I feel totally fine. Everything's great. I said, Shawn, got a little headache, give me some aspirin, let's go to McDonald's, or let's go to Denny's. And you said, let's go to McDonald's instead. So we jumped in the car.
I said, all right. I said, let's go to the gas station and get you some Gatorade.
That's right. So we jumped in the car, and I think I mentioned McDonald's or something on the way. And then about halfway there, I said, you know what?
All right, let's backtrack just a little bit. We got in the car, and I pulled out of the driveway, and you said, all right, stop. And you opened the door and proceeded to try to vomit.
I almost threw up, yes. Because I lasted 5 minutes.
Trying to vomit. Trying really hard to vomit, and then you close the door and say, all right, let's go.
I lasted 5 minutes before the hangover hit me with a vengeance, and I was done. I was done for. Finished.
So we drove out to McDonald's and the gas station. I went to go get food for young Vincent, or at least old Vincent now, and Mr. Alvarez, and some Gatorade for Liz and Bryan, and I got the McDonald's food first, and then Bryan went off to the gas station, and then I went into the gas station. I looked around for Bryan, and he was nowhere to be seen.
Yes.
So I asked the guy behind the counter if he had seen this crazy guy come in who looked kind of sick, if he knew where he was, and he said that he was in the bathroom. So we can all imagine what Bryan was doing in the bathroom.
I just want to say that if anybody has seen the pictures of me in the cab, I looked exactly the same at 11 o'clock in the morning, just
not smiling.
9 hours later. So even more absolutely disgusting. And I was inside this place, and I asked the guy where the crackers were. He tried to explain it, and I could not find them. And I am certain that at 10:30 in the morning on Sunday, I was still drunk. I'm certain of it.
Probably.
So yeah, Shawn saved my life, took me home, and I laid there in the car.
You laid in my car for another, 2 hours.
Yeah. Shawn, I had set my alarm to watch football because I'm a dedicated fan. So I'm downstairs, curled up in a ball on the couch watching the games, holding the remote out with one hand, flipping channels. Shawn volunteered to give me food at McDonald's. Shawn's a great friend. Thank you, Shawn. So Shawn returns with my 2 breakfast burritos and hash browns and orange juice.
Which I cannot believe you ate.
And I sucked them down in seconds. Just hoovered them. And I'm laying down there, and then Shawn comes back down like 11:30. And he says, Bryan is curled up in a fetal position. And I said, I was not surprised. I said, yeah. And Shawn said, in the front seat of my car. And I thought, perhaps I should go investigate this.
And I have to say that Liz is a fine, fine woman, because I laid in a fetal position, and she came out and sat with me for about a half hour while you stood outside the car waiting for me to leave so that you could take her home. And I could not move.
I did go find you Tums, too, during that
That's
time.
right. And I was in bad shape. And I spent the rest
and
of the...
to leave.
Yeah, so when I heard my good friend Bryan was basically an invalid in
mortal peril.
I was
in health danger. My first reaction was to grab my camera. Fortunately for Bryan, my camera is apparently broken. It will no longer take pictures anymore.
Yeah,
and I have not fixed it yet to this day. So I need to find the instruction booklet and see if there's something I can do about that.
So finally, we coaxed Bryan out of the car, and he went back to
with crackers stuck in his face.
Yes, and
I was covered with crumbs.
I took so you went to the bed and laid down, and I took Liz home, and I came back, and you were in the exact same position that we left you on the bed.
I don't think people can fathom the concept of what it means for me to not have moved for this period of time.
Yeah,
I did not move for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yes, he curled up on the bed, and then Shawn and I left the room and left him there to rot, basically.
And then you started yelling for me because you wanted someone to join you in your misery.
I needed company. I was
in my room watching TV or something, and
I would every now and then I would go, Shawn, or Vince, where's Vince? And even Jim, I'm like, Jim, come here. And I would try and start a conversation because I just wanted someone with me. Like if these were my final moments, I needed someone with me when I left the earth. And thankfully, you guys all...
We kind of took turns, I guess.
Yeah, you took turns babysitting me, basically.
And then Vince and I went up to Target to get you Pepto-Bismol.
Every time I came upstairs, frankly, I expected you to be gone. Not only were you not gone, you would pretty be getting worse.
Oh, I was getting
I was contemplating calling medical help.
I was actually getting worse until I got the Pepto-Bismol, and then I started to
I think at one point it was around like noon or 11 or 1 o'clock or something like that. You announced that at 7 o'clock you were going to meet Vince at South Center Mall to go down to Chris for the pay-per-view.
Yes.
And we all had a good laugh, considering that was never going to happen.
And at about 2 o'clock I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay here, and you can drag me to the car and drive me to Craig's, and I will watch the pay-per-view. But the good news is, Jim ended up getting pizza, and I started eating pizza at about 5:30 p.m.
This is the earliest you could keep food down.
Yes, and I ate the pizza, and I began to recover very quickly. And everything was great until 6:30 when I realized I did not have my laptop, and I had to drive all the damn way home to get it before we went to Craig's. And yeah, that was my day.
And somewhere in there, prior to the pizza, you vomited pure Powerade in my toilet.
I did. That did happen.
Yeah, that was why we were at Target, yeah.
Yeah.
So... I guess to wrap things up here today, because you guys really didn't have much of a story for Sunday morning because you were both fine. And I curse you.
Fine is a strong word. I had a headache.
I hardly drank, so I was
I got better.
Too.
Well, I'd like to say this then in conclusion.
Actually, before conclusion, Shawn, would you like to describe my dancing?
This we would need a webcam for.
All you need to know is I was the whitest white man that ever danced like a white guy when they played Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back.
All right, I'll try to describe his actual motion, and if you guys can close your eyes and try to picture this. But during the double up part of Baby Got Back...
Keep in mind, everyone, I am 6'2" and 250 pounds. I am
very white.
And very white.
Both of Vince's arms were high in the air, and he proceeded to do what could be described as a standing crunch, possibly, where his body would come down and his arms would come down at the same time, and he would thrust his hips. At the moment, his elbows would reach his stomach.
Oh, yes.
And he did that twice for the double up,
That is a very vivid description.
Yes.
Hopefully everyone can picture that in your head. And then his kind of like go-to dance, I guess, when he's done doing his double thrusting is, we're going to call this the weak sprinkler. Imagine just putting your arm or your hand on the back of your head.
Place your right hand on the back of your head
with your elbow pointing out.
Do not move it for 40 minutes.
And then kind of like weakly moving your elbow back and forth and doing nothing else with your other hand. His other dance.
And then just step back and forth. That's the Vinny dance, everyone.
Yes. And you danced a lot. I was very proud of you. I wanted to get you out on the dance floor, and it took a while to get you out there, but you ended up dancing with a passion, really.
That's true. And going from girl to girl, and thankfully not getting attached to any of them because none of them were that hot. But,
yeah.
But yes, I moved along. I had no problems with self-esteem or anything. So I was having a ball.
I'll bet you were.
I was having
good times.
You were not an angry drunk for the first time. You were a happy drunk.
I think I was an angry drunk twice, and they were both with you. So you think I'm an angry drunk?
So maybe it's me, is what you're saying?
I think you bring the anger out of me.
Oh, I'm sure I do, but I don't mean to, of course.
But no, I'm usually a happy drunk, and I was very happy.
Yes.
I like the part at the cafe, actually. We were having some discussion. I went to go sit down in between Vince's sisters, Amy and Ashley, and both of them told me how hot I was now. And I would just like to embellish that just a little bit and just remind everyone that Vince's sisters called me hot.
God, you could be Vince's brother.
See, we've
a little bit of interbreeding, or whatever you'd call it.
I'm definitely not as ugly.
What?
I'm sorry. I just remember the picture that Vince is going through all his photographs, and there's one of his own sister bending over. And I thought,
so there's a picture of the camera.
For?
There's a picture of my sister's ass in there. That's lovely. But
let me wrap up my segment here before I go kill myself. I would just like to start off by thanking profusely Shawn and Vince and Craig and Jim, who babysat me for 2 days.
And Liz.
And Liz, I'm sorry. Liz, if you're listening, which I know you're not, I'm sorry. You were a good woman. And everybody else, really, the party that tolerated me. I want to thank you all for putting up with me. I want to apologize if I offended anyone, except Jana, who now I'm ready to offend all over again by drinking more of her liquor. But everybody else, I apologize profusely. And I would like to give a little bit of advice to all you youngsters out there, because I've learned a very valuable lesson, and I will never drink again. And that is this.
Tell Sonny's Halloween party.
Well, I may make an exception, but I'm pretty much retired from drinking. Number one, always eat food before you drink. I've made the mistake before of drinking on an empty stomach, and I get very, very hammered, and it's bad news. That's number one.
I think it's important.
Can I interrupt you here?
You don't eat until you're stuffed, though. You just need to get a good layer of food.
Sure.
You specifically mentioned that part of your plan was to eat very little that day so you could get fucked up quickly.
Yeah, but I ended up eating because I knew that was stupid.
All right.
So anyway, eat something before you drink. Actually, rule number one is don't drink. Rule number two is if you're going to drink, eat something first. Number two, drink a lot of water while you're drinking, because you're going to get dehydrated, you're going to end up with a hangover, and you're going to end up just miserable like I was the next day. I made that mistake once as well. And finally, the lesson I learned this time, the most important lesson ever now, after you've had a night of drinking, go home and eat a lot of food. That was my fatal mistake. I drank all night like a fish, went to bed on an empty stomach, and that was the end of me. That was the end.
Almost literally.
That was literally almost the end of me. I should have had a giant hamburger or raided your pantry or something. But I didn't, and I paid the price. So, thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all.
You're welcome, Brian.
We're glad you had fun. We're doing it again next year.
No, I've retired.
I'll have your drinks then.
Vince,
I'm going to drink more.
Vince, any final thoughts from you before we wrap this up?
It was a ball. It was virtually all I could have wished for. And, yeah, we're definitely doing it next year. And
the big 31st birthday party?
The 31st birthday.
All right.
Brian's contemplating having a half birthday party in December.
No, not anymore.
Change your mind.
This was before I got to the club.
That's true.
Shawn? Oh, and by the way, I would just like to note that I've spent the last 2 days dry as a bone. I plan on spending all day tomorrow at the bookstore, same with Thursday, and same with most of Friday, reading. Oh, yes, I'm going to nerd out.
I expect you to read religious texts.
I will. I actually have the Bible right here somewhere, if I could find my leather one.
Well, I had a good time. I had enjoyed seeing everyone there. It was good to see Greg and Cheryl, because I hadn't seen them in a while. And
we didn't see them for very long, as usual.
And it was a good time to see everyone. I'm a little ashamed that I didn't drink as much as I could have, but as it turns out, on Sunday I was much happier than I normally would have been if I drank as much as I could have.
This is what we need to do then.
If all of you could put that sentence together.
The next time, I need to babysit you. You just need to drink everything under the sun, and since I'm now a sober man, I will babysit you.
And I can vouch for Brian being an excellent drunken babysitter.
I am.
Should we tell the story of...
Which one?
The Vegas story?
Oh, God. No, we don't have time.
All right.
That'll be another story for another day, but yes,
eventually when that Vegas book comes out.
All I've got to say is this. Vince, if anybody ever thinks that I'm not a good friend for Vince, you tell them right now, I proved what a good friend I was that night.
That's true.
I saved your life, perhaps.
And that was one of the nights I was angry drunk at you, too.
Oh, yes. And
you had every reason to let me die.
You were so angry at me that night, and I still took care of you and babysat you and got you back and saved your life.
That's true.
That's the same night of the 2-7 offsuit.
Fuck that guy. That's it. We're ending the show. It's been real, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. You're never going to hear from any of these two bastards again. And I guess we'll see you next time.
I'm thirsty.
All right, good night.
One more thing, Vince. We have to talk about this on the air.
All right, we can.
You're skipping Pride tomorrow, you
I'm going to
dick.
skip Pride tomorrow.
And why is that?
Because I really want to watch the Monday Night Football game.
And what is the Monday Night Football game?
The New York Jets and the Atlanta Falcons.
That means nothing to me. You know, I talked about this with you in the car today. I'm going to repeat it here. This is why you need to go to the show, Vince, because your life is such that if you miss this show, it's going to be the best Pride in history.
You did mention that, and you do make an excellent point.
And I think that you should at least try and show up for the second half. But there's also the quandary where if you show up, it could suck.
That's right.
And the football game could be great, and then you'll be upset on the show.
There is that possibility.
Although that might make for good radio.
We also talked about, because the truth is, if you tape a football game and watch it, it takes maybe an hour.
Yeah, you don't need to watch the first fucking down or whatever, the first quarter on a football game.
Oh, yes, you do.
You need to watch the last 10 minutes of the game, maybe. It's like an Iron Man match,
No. Just the difference between an actual sport and the Iron Man match. You know the Iron Man match will be close, so you only have to watch the last 5 minutes or whatever. In a real sporting event, the game will be over by the first quarter. So you have to watch the first quarter because that's when the game's going to be decided.
Did you just go underwater or something? What happened to your phone?
I don't know.
It sounds horrible all of a sudden.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Well, the game can be decided in the first quarter, so you have to watch it. Now, if the game is decided in the first quarter, it's over by halftime.
You just popped back in and almost deafened me. Go on.
Must you interrupt me all the time?
Well, no, I'm just telling you because everybody else heard it. You're the only one that didn't notice it, but go on.
I don't care about anyone else. Listen, I'll probably show up at some point during Pride.
All right.
But if I tape this game, and if I have the score of the game revealed to me at any point during the day, there will be hell to pay.
Well, believe me, it ain't going to be from me.
That's true.
That you'll at least know for sure.
I have to call Tony.
You know what, Vince? You know why you're screwed now?
Because you're going to.
No, I'm not going to. But you just insulted all the listeners. Hundreds of listeners. You just said you didn't care about them, and they're going to bombard you with emails with the score throughout the day. And you're going to be screwed.
You have a point.
And you're going to pay for this. How dare you say that you hate all the listeners or you don't care about them?
I said I don't care about them.
This is terrible.
That's actually worse.
How could you even say that? All the support these people give you and the love they give you, and this is how you repay them?
Bill Barnwell, who said I don't look fat. He's the man.
So one guy you care about because he didn't insult you.
Yes.
You'll pay for this in the afterlife, Vince. I just want you to know that.
Anyone else who wants to love me, go on the board and talk about how good I look.
And then you'll care about them.
And then I will care about them.
What a dick.
I am a dick.
I apologize, everybody, for Vince's just dickiness. I don't know what else.
You just said, don't watch Pride. None of this would have happened.
No, I just asked you to show up for the last few minutes. You didn't have to flip out on the listeners.
Yeah, it was fun, though.
And quit playing around on the computer, goddammit.
I'm not. I'm playing around with a Sharpie.
Fine. I'm done with you. You're finished.
Am I banned?
You've insulted the listeners. You've run down TNA. Is there anybody else you'd like to insult?
I could yell at Pride for doing a stupid Monday pay-per-view.
The Jews, maybe, because of Brent Kremen? Brent Kremen no-showing tonight?
I'm fine with Brent Kremen no-showing the show.
Oh, now you're insulting Brent.
Oh,
I knew it.
That's new. Yeah, okay, I'll insult Brent. No, I don't have any energy.
Wow. I can't believe the hatred that you've vented tonight. Why don't you shave your head while you're at it, Vince?
Wow.
Become a supremacist or something.
Listen to you.
Since all you love is yourself and your goddamn football.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry, everybody. We're done with the show for today. I'm cutting Vince off here. So
me. Where's my razor? You're right.
That's right. So, any final words of hate, Vince?
See, Kyle.
That's it. This is all over. JBL and Ken Kennedy faced Rey Mysterio and Hardcore Holly, which right off the bat, what the hell are these four men doing in the ring together, especially with these teams? JBL had come out in immigrant attire, I guess you could call it. He had a
poncho, a sombrero, a bottle of tequila, jumper cables, and my personal favorite, an inner tube.
He had an inner tube for the Rio Grande. And they spent a lot of the show, they kept pointing out nearly after every commercial break that a bunch of Mexicans came over the border here in Laredo every year. And I thought, I'm here because of these damn Mexicans coming over the border. So shut up, Michael Cole, you fucker. But yeah, that was the point of the show, and I was just thinking this is really gonna get these Hispanic viewers excited to see the show.
Yes.
They're constantly reminded about what thieves and crooks they are for coming illegally into our country. And I'm not even going to get into the big rant that I put in the newsletter about how us Americans took this country, but that's just another matter entirely. Then we had the more Laredo stuff, all these immigrants coming over. They kept mentioning this for some reason, even though there's two Mexicans on the show that they were building around. But then we had Guerrero doing a skit with Big Dave. You might recall that it's now 8 days. It was 9 days when the show aired. Actually, 7 days now because it's Sunday. In 7 days, these men are going to be facing each other on pay-per-view. And this is how they built it up. Eddie was eating some Mexican food. Batista walked up. Carne asada, by the way, which is fine Mexican cuisine.
Oh, yes, good stuff.
Big Dave walked up, and Eddie said, I'm sorry about last week. I'll never get sick again in one of our matches. And Batista said, well, maybe you shouldn't be eating right now. You might get sick. I'll eat that for you. And, of course, Eddie wasn't down with giving away his carne asada, but he couldn't say no to Big Dave, so Big Dave took his food, and he ate it.
And Eddie was sad.
That's it.
And then it ended.
That was the build. That's the latest in the build to the big JBL versus Eddie Guerrero title match.
Get your cable bill now. Call your operator.
Call your operator. They are standing by. And they truly are standing by right now because nobody is calling. They got nothing to do.
Maybe in the pay-per-view, Dave will apologize and give the food back.
Hey, it could be. Yeah. So then we went to Ohio Valley. The main angle on the show was the Daniel Puter-Johnny Jeter match. And this was the final match of Daniel Puter's WWE career. And some men that won a contest where they were pretty much promised $1 million. I know the small print said you only got $250,000 for the first year and the rest were, optional or whatever, but he was pretty much promised $1 million. After 1 year, they said you're canned. If you want to do the $800 a week deal, knock yourself out. Most men could have just said, F you. Just F you. Instead, Daniel Puter went in and may have had the best match of his short WWE career.
Oh, I guarantee you.
He looked... There was actually a deal earlier in the show where he was kicking pads and punching pads backstage, and that was when I thought, they cut this man. What the hell were they thinking? And then he had the match, and for a guy that has been training for a year or something like that, he looked just fine. He had a very distinct style. Did a lot of amateur stuff, a lot of UFC stuff. His strikes were a little bad and everything like that, but there was nothing wrong with the match. And yeah, they cut him. And they can all go to hell. And I hope that Daniel Puter signs with TNA and they manage to make an enormous superstar out of him. And I will laugh my ass off. And it'll be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the only one who doesn't think Daniel Puder's that great, and I don't feel bad for him.
Why?
Because he won the contract, and he signed the contract. Here's what he got. He got $250,000 cash, and then he got a year of the best wrestling school in America, a school that guys will travel the country to try out for, and only to be heartbroken and not be allowed to pay to go there and have to go back home.
Yeah.
So just because he didn't get $1 million, he did get a lot of... I look at what he did get, not what he didn't get. And as far as what he was promised, he was promised $250,000.
You're looking at this like a jaded old wrestler, dude. Is this Daniel Puder's fault that they put this contest together and he was better than everybody else and he won?
What the hell does that mean?
Okay, they made this stupid contest where the winner was going to get $1 million. They claimed. Like I said, I know what the small print said, but the way it was advertised, he should have got his $1 million. Okay, is that his fault that they did that? No. Is it his fault that he won the contest? No. He should have gotten 4 years. Nobody should expect, just because he got $250,000 and had a year in Ohio Valley, doesn't mean he should be good enough after 1 year to all of a sudden be brought up or kept on. He should have gotten 4 years at $250,000 because that's what they told him he was going to get.
All right.
I don't understand your argument. What are you saying?
I'm saying I don't think he got ripped off. I'm saying that...
I'm not saying he got ripped off. I'm saying they're idiots for cutting him.
Well, that's a
They
different
had
thing.
something in him.
Well, that may be true, too.
I didn't say he got ripped off, although he did sort of get ripped off.
I think the public might have got ripped off. I don't think he did.
Well, the public got ripped off, and yeah, he got his $250,000 and he got Ohio Valley. That's great, but I'm looking at this from a business standpoint. They cut a guy who had a ton of potential.
Well, then
and who had won a contest that they designed and they just changed their mind about. Oh, we don't want to give you $100 million. We don't even want to give you $250,000 for 2 years. We'll give you your first one, and then we'll get rid of you and never do a Tough Enough again. Lame.
Well, I don't know. I don't see Daniel Puder as a guy who would have been this giant star main eventing WrestleMania or.
But how can we know after a year? That's the point.
Well, there's that too. But knowing, okay, you can't say that about anyone. So why would you give anyone $250,000 to train?
That's their fault.
No, it's not. They lied.
So it's okay because they lied?
Yes.
Fine. If you're going to look at it that way, fine. But it's not okay because they lied. They scammed the public. They scammed Daniel Puder. They scammed fucking me. They didn't scam me, but thought I had to throw that one in there as well. They should not have cut Daniel Puder. It was stupid. It was stupid. It was robbery. It was a scam.
Do you think Daniel Puder was worth another $750,000 investment?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he was or not. If they would have given Christy Hemme a $1 million contract, I would expect them to pay her $1 million if that's what the public was told she was going to get. It's not my fault. I didn't sign the fucking deal. I didn't make up the contest. They could have very easily said the $250,000 Tough Enough challenge. Nope, they said $1 million, so they should have paid him his $1 million. Especially cutting him after a year and then going, oh, you can come back, we'll give you $750 a week. That is retarded. This man had potential. Fine, I won't say anything more about it. And that was a hell of an argument on your part, Vince. You just sort of clamped up after a while. We could have gone for an hour here.
I'm tired, and you're just repeating the same stuff. I don't feel like shouting at you for a while.
Fine. So then we had the Juniors.
Yay!
That's right. I told you it was something important.
This was the greatest Smackdown ever.
There was a meeting backstage, and Teddy was appalled about what had happened with the Raw guys. And Palmer said, don't worry, we've got the NTI, the New Talent Initiative. Yeah, they had to turn that into a...
Get your T-shirts now.
Yes, get your T-shirt now. NTI. Couldn't even be like the Talented Initiative of New Talents. Would be TIT or something. They had to just do NTI. I just made that up on the spot. Give me some time to think. So anyway, he said, the Tolans, who, by the way, have not been named.
Well, they were never named last week. They ran in and no one knew who they were.
So the best part about this is, I guess in some way he discovered who they were and he revealed it, but we don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah. The SmackDown viewer knows there are these two guys ran in, and he knows there's a new team called the Turbulence, but they don't know if these are the same people.
That's right. And he also listed Matt Hardy as part of the New Talent Initiative. And then he said they were going to introduce a new division, the Juniors.
The Juniors!
In ran 3 midgets and in waddled Super Porky.
Super Porky.
And the midgets were, if I can get their names right here, Masquerita Sagrada, who we knew, Minnie Piroth, and
Pitbull Patterson.
What did I call him?
At one point, you call him Thunderbolt Hank. You said, what's his name? And I said, Pitbull Patterson. And you said, Thunderbolt Hank?
Oh, jeez. What's wrong with you? And it was just like that, Tim.
It was.
You said Pitbull, whatever his name was, and I immediately forgot the name. And now that I've got...
Jesus Christ.
I'm just going to take these off. They're doing me no good.
It's going to be the 80-minute show.
Okay, hold on.
What time is it?
I don't know, but I'm crying. You know what we need to do is get
Quarter
Little
to one.
Nasty Boy to be Thunderbolt Hank. Can you imagine playing this role? And you know he'd do it, too.
Sure.
We know a midget, everybody. The Little Nasty Boy is his name, but story for a different day. So anyway,
He once wrestled Road Warrior Animal.
He did. And he was in the ring with Mick Foley, apparently. But anyway, so...
That's not a great story.
So, anyway, Teddy Long said regarding Porky, he smells like chitlins. He's fat.
You smell like chitlins.
And network guys said that was the sweet smell of success. So Teddy could stand no more.
Porky was sitting there in his gear, noshing on a giant ham.
Oh, I forgot the ham. That's right.
Ham.
That's right. And actually, it was identified by Teddy Long as pork. And the network guy said, yes, of course, because he's super porky.
Yes, the fact that he's 300 pounds and 5 feet tall was not enough clue that he would be Porky. They had to further explain the name by saying he eats a lot of pork.
And it gets better. Teddy Long had to leave. So he turned around and opened the door, and there was the Boogeyman with flash paper. And he lit this flash paper, at which point you hear Palmer Cannon in the background going, hey, it's the Boogeyman.
Did you?
Oh, yes.
I didn't notice that.
That's what I kept replaying over and over. It was so funny.
I never caught it.
The door opened, and the Boogeyman's right there, and you hear him go, hey, it's the Boogeyman. You know we're going to have to play that back before you go home tonight.
Sure.
Okay.
I was just watching before because Boogeyman lit his flash paper way too early.
Oh, yes, it was way too early. So, then, basically everybody left. The Boogeyman did his scary thing or whatever, and he's changed it. Now, unfortunately, I guess they've banned Somebody's Gonna Die. So now it's, I'm the Boogeyman, and I'm gonna get you. I'm coming to get you. Which is okay with me. That's cool. So, anyway, then they left, and Teddy...
Well, he says, I'm coming to get you, and he said it right at Masquerita Sagrada, who screamed and leapt into Teddy Long's arms.
That's right, he did. So you finish explaining any final comments on this segment while I load something up here.
Boogeyman just disappeared when he was done. I don't know what happened to him. Teddy set Masquerita Sagrada down, and Palmer Cannon says, let's go have fun, everyone. And you could hear the midgets jumping up and down on the couch, and Teddy sat down and began to massage his temples, and he looked up, and Porky was sitting on the armchair of the...
eating his
ham, and he offered Teddy some ham, and that rude bastard Teddy Long declined.
That's right.
So Porky just sat there eating his ham, and it was beautiful. And this was a true wacky lucha skit on SmackDown.
That is the only way.
It was awesome, and I decided that I want the Boogeyman to be on every show.
Okay, get ready. Turn around.
All right, I'm turning around now.
We're doing more live play-by-play here, and you're gonna have to get out of the way a little bit, Vince, so I can.
Hang on, I'm standing up. I have the microphone. The fans are celebrating their Mania tickets.
We're not going to watch the whole segment because we don't.
No,
have
it's
all
long.
Night. But I just got to see.
Thunderbolt Hank jumping on the couch.
Thunderbolt Hank.
Palmer Cannon just referred to Masquerita Sagrada as this one dude.
Yeah. Porky looks about 2 feet tall. Okay, are you ready? Listen.
Okay. I did hear that.
Here we go. Everyone.
Okay.
So happy.
Okay. Okay. I did hear that.
Okay, good.
I thought it was Michael Cole, and I thought he was supposed to be scared.
No, it was.
No, it's Plumber Cannon, and he's happy.
He's very happy.
It's the Boogeyman.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Before we get started today, I would just like to let everybody know, as I told Vince yesterday, as he is well aware, that yesterday I almost died.
Oh, God, yes.
I did. I almost died yesterday. Some of you may have tuned into the site today and found no updates or anything and never would have again because I would have croaked. Because I was sideswiped on the freeway. So if Carl Stern is listening, I need some law enforcement help here. I was driving on the freeway, and a man in a very large black truck decided that he was going to merge into my lane without my permission. I don't know what the word is. But he merged into me, basically. He merged into my car, knocking me into another lane. This was in the middle of rush hour, and we were not stopped. We were going rather fast, 50 miles an hour probably up this hill. And I thought, Jesus, I was just sideswiped. And thankfully, I was not killed, and nobody else was killed. So I proceeded to merge over to the right because there was an off-ramp coming up, and I went to exit the freeway with my blinker on slowly to give the man plenty of time to merge off after me so that we could exchange insurance information, that sort of thing. And he proceeded to fly past the exit. So I was halfway up the off-ramp, and I turned the wheel to the left and went down the little hill right there where you, I guess, an emergency exit off the off-ramp, and I attempted to give chase to this man. And I did give chase for a few moments until he weaved his way in and out of traffic, and I unfortunately lost him. My one chance to catch this man, and I failed. I failed, Vince.
Sorry, Holmes.
But the good news is I was not killed. My car suffered slightly less damage than I had thought it would, because when he hit my car, I expected... I was hit so hard, I thought the frame was going to fall off and both tires would have popped, and I would have been sitting there like with merely my seat, the steering wheel, and two wheels tilted sideways on the freeway. And no, there were some dents in the side of my car, but I guess really there ain't much more to say. I escaped the jaws of death last night.
You did.
Barely.
That's good. The whole story sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a shitty world.
And then we went to Sonny's Halloween party, at which point I completely fell off the wagon.
Oh, yes.
My plans to never drink again, especially after what had happened earlier in the evening, I thought, you know what? If God didn't take me here, he's not taking me tonight, so what the hell? I might as well go for it.
And go for it you did.
And go for it I did. And luckily I took my own advice from last time, and I had a lot of food afterwards, drank a lot of water. And I woke up today at 11:30 a.m., well rested, really. Felt fine, took a couple aspirins, and I'm totally ready to go.
Woo!
No ill effects, except my car's got a gigantic, enormous dent in the side, so...
That sucks.
If you're the man in the black truck, I don't know what kind of truck it is, I didn't get the license plate number, that's why I gave chase. If you're that man, you're a dick. Is there anything more I can really say?
No.
I'm much calmer about the situation than I probably should be, but all I can think is, there ain't nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. He's long gone. He could be in Tijuana now, for all I know. He could be living next door, but he's long gone. And the only thing that makes me feel any better is, as I mentioned last night, I was in a small Sophia. Well, it's not really a shitty car, but compared to his car, it's a pretty shitty car. And he was in a giant monster truck-sized beast-like machine.
Mm-hmm.
And he fled from me in terror.
And what you were going to do to him?
I don't know. I don't know what he thought I was going to do to him. I shouldn't have mentioned it was a Halloween party and I was wearing a leather jacket and a bandana, and I probably looked
and you're a Mexican.
like I might have a firearm. So there was probably pretty good reason for him to flee, but he did. He fled like a coward. And he needs to live the rest of his days with that cowardice etched upon his forehead.
Poder.
Really, what more is there to say? He's a coward, and he must live with that forever. He's a failure. He did not merge off the freeway to make amends for what he'd done, ramming into my car on the freeway. He just went on his merry way, quickly, fleeing.
Hopefully God will strike him down.
Yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd get that off my chest. Carl, if you're listening, that's the sort of law-breaking we have up here in Seattle, and I wish you'd been around to give chase, but what can you do? So anyway, what's the point of this? Why are we even here today?
Because we're doing a Smackdown and OVW.
I really just wanted to rant, but I suppose...
I guarantee you most people would rather hear you rant than talk about a Smackdown show that's a day old already.
And this was such a lame rant, too.
Yes, well, that's because you ranted your heart out yesterday.
I did. It's too bad that I did not get blindsided or sideswiped and immediately come home to do this show, because the vitriol that I spewed last night was... I was so irate. But...
It was a thing of beauty to behold.
Yeah, but I'm better now. What can you do?
Yeah, sorry.
I escaped with my life, so I'm looking at things on the bright side. I savor each...
Even when I picked you up like 10 minutes later, 10, 15 minutes later, you were still... way calmer than I could comprehend.
Yeah, I didn't really get that upset. I wasn't really upset about it, because once it happened, I just knew there's nothing I can do. There's no reason to shorten my lifespan by stressing over this. I'll just rant and rave and scream at Vince, and I'll feel a little bit better. And I did rant and rave at you a bit, and you're lucky because you did call.
Yes.
I got to tell this story, too, very quickly. Moments. This was literally 3 minutes after getting sideswiped on the freeway. I get a call from Vince. I was supposed to meet Vince at South Center at 7 o'clock to carpool. So, literally moments later, Vince calls. And, actually, I hung up on you. I said,
you did.
I'm dealing with the situation. I'll call you back. And I hung up.
Yep.
So then I called you back a few moments later, and I said, what's up? And you said, you're not going to believe this story, Brian.
But I'm going to tell you anyway.
But I'm going to tell you anyway. Go ahead and tell the story.
I was at a party with my co-workers for people who were leaving, and we were in a bar. And the clock in the bar was slow.
Clock in the... He said, I thought it was 6:40, and it's now 7.
Yes.
20 minutes slow, you're telling me.
Yes.
Okay, and the thing that really struck me was, it was Friday night during rush hour at 6:40, and I thought, you really thought leaving at 6:40 you'd make it here by 7?
Well, there's that, too.
All right. But luckily, like I said, you were only the second dumbest person that I had to deal with that day, and the first dumbest person nearly killed me, so you really got off easy last night. I've only got a little more to say before we get on to the wrestling tonight. As a man who escaped death, which I did last night, the Lord had the opportunity to take my life, and He declined. I tapped out the Grim Reaper yesterday, basically. So as a man who has had a second chance at life, I would like to ask you all to take a deep breath and savor that breath. Go ahead, Vinny. The sweet air that you breathe. Why? Because you're alive. And I want you to savor every tasty bite of Red Robin tonight after the Pinnacle Pro Wrestling show. I want you to savor each morsel because you're eating, because you're alive. Savor each bite. And I want you to look up at the sky, Vince. Look up at the sky right there. I realize we're in Seattle, so it's cloudy and overcast. But look at the beauty of the clouds that bring life-giving rain to the beautiful green earth. That's right. Live every moment, young man, because time and chance happeneth to them all. And it almost happeneth to me yesterday, but it did not. Yeah. So everybody make the most of your life. Appreciate what you've got here on this earth, because at any moment, it could be snatched away from you. I'm finished. I checked my phone last night, and there was a mystery number on it, which I never called back, of course. And about 20 minutes later, the mystery number called back. And I thought, oh, what the fuck, I'll pick it up. And I said, hello? And it was a female, and she said, hey, it's Melissa. And I thought...
Cheerleader Melissa?
I didn't know. I'm like, hi, what's going on? She goes, I don't know, what are you doing?
What time was this?
This is like 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay, so you were still sober.
Yeah. No, it was 2 days. It was Thursday.
Oh, okay.
She goes, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm just hanging around, not much. What are you up to? And I was trying to figure out, because, like, McCain's girlfriend's named Melissa, and I knew this other girl named Melissa, but this was years ago, and I don't really know anyone right now named Melissa. So I was trying to figure out, who is this, and why is this person calling me? So I was asking just basic questions, like, so what are you up to? She goes, I'm just kicking it. I was like, yeah, me too. So, what are you doing now? What'd you call about? She said, well, I'm just calling to see if you're white.
I'm sorry, what?
That's what I said. I said, calling to see if I'm white? She goes, yeah, you white? I said, yeah, I mean, I'm half white. She goes, I got the wrong number, don't I? I was like, yeah, I think you might. Who are you trying to get a hold of here? And then she'd already long since hung up. So, Melissa, if you're out there, whoever the hell you are,
he is half white.
I am indeed half white, and I hope you had a good time kicking it Thursday night.